Hi collective, I am the Nosy Witch and this is my channel, Nosy Witch Tarot. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'm sorry if my voice sounds a little bit weird, by the way. I've got a cold at the moment, so I've only just sort of got my voice back. Either way, whether you are new or whether you have been here before, I am very, very happy to have you here and I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to this reading. If it's your first time here, I do collective pick a card readings here on YouTube. I cover lots of different topics and I'm always open to suggestions. My readings do tend to be fairly long, just a little bit of a warning about that. They're usually thorough, deep dives. I know sometimes you might not be able to listen to all of the reading in one go, and that's why for each pile, I actually list the timestamps for both the oracle reading and the start of the tarot reading in the description and in the pinned comment for your convenience. But if you're anything like me and you enjoy having something on in the background at all times whilst you're cleaning your house or heading to work or just relaxing generally, these readings are absolutely for you. Now, this reading here today is titled, Why Did They Ghost? And Will They Be Coming Back to Life? Specifically, your life. And as you can see, we're absolutely milking these spooky season vibes and using these incredibly cute ghost stickers today. So I've actually had this reading planned for a while. I knew I had to do something about ghosting around Halloween because what better time is there to summon a ghost, quite honestly? And some of you, you don't want to summon them. Maybe you're just here to gain some clarity and feel confident knowing that you can lay this situation to rest and that this person won't be coming back to haunt you. So this reading is all about that person in your life who seemingly fell off the radar for absolutely no reason, and you want to know why. Why did this person go distant or stop communicating? Why did they disappear? Why did they do a vanishing act? Why did they drop off the face of the earth out of nowhere? This reading is going to be split into two main sections as usual. We will be starting off by looking at a selection of oracle cards, and during this portion of the reading, we're going to be looking at who this person is, the nature of the relationship, and the overarching energy of this connection. You can use the oracle portion as a vibe check and for confirmation you've chosen the right pile. We will then be moving on to the tarot portion of the reading. We're going to be covering 4 main questions and we're looking at 4 cards at a time to answer each one of these questions. So firstly, we're going to be looking at this person's energy, their thoughts and feelings towards you and this connection. Then we're going to be looking at your energy, your thoughts and feelings towards them and this connection. Then we are going to be delving into specifically why they ghosted, what triggered this disappearing act. Then finally, we're going to be looking at their next actions and we're asking, are they coming back to your life? How are they going to be making their presence known? Finally, we're going to finish with some closing guidance from the Soul Truth Oracle. So for a lot of you, this is probably going to be about a romantic situation, but it could very well be about a platonic situation for just a few of you. For example, a friend or a family member who has become distant or stopped speaking, and you're wanting to know what's going on or what's up with them. Totally understandable. Gentle disclaimer here that these are not personal readings, they are collective readings, and we're going to have a lot of different scenarios coming up. Not every single detail will resonate with you, nor would I expect it to. Always listen to your own intuition, and if something isn't sounding like your situation, if something sounds confusing to you or it's leaving you with more self-doubt, that's just a sign it's either not your pile or not your reading today, and that's okay. I do set the intention that these readings will be timeless, so although this reading might not resonate for you right now, perhaps it will at some point in the future, and you are always welcome back anytime if you need clarity or guidance. If the reading resonates, but it's about a past situation that you are done with, that's just a sign that you're a little bit further along the timeline than other people who've chosen the same pile as you, and that's okay too. If you do still want to listen, I'd still love to hear from you and find out how you're doing now or what you have taken from that situation, because you never know, you might inspire other people in the comments who are currently going through a similar thing, and if they see that you've been there, done that, and now you've come out the other side of that situation, it could provide hope and reassurance to those who maybe haven't quite reached that place yet. However, if it's a case of like you've been there, done that, and you don't want to hear about this particular person or situation anymore, if you feel like it's not in your best interest to listen to this kind of reading, that is so valid. Please always prioritize your own emotional health. Please disengage if you need to. You are not obligated to listen to this reading. Like I said, I do so many different topics, so if this one just isn't for you, don't force yourself to listen if you know that that's just not going to be good for you. With this type of reading and with relationship readings generally, I always feel the need to reiterate that my intention here is not to excuse a person's harmful behaviour, nor is it to encourage you to return to a person or situation that isn't good for you. I'm not doing these readings to make you give someone a chance they do not deserve. These readings are for your benefit. They are here to provide clarity and an extra layer of context to a complex situation. They are there to help you develop a deeper understanding of yourself and other people, as well as confirming things that your intuition already knows. Please know that just because a person intends to return to your life, it never means that you have to accept them back into your life. You always have the power to make your own choices and decide who gets to be a part of your story going forward. Always trust yourself first and foremost. You know your individual situation better than anyone. I am just here reading energies for the collective, which means I cannot possibly know what is going to be best for each individual person listening. I'm not qualified to give any kind of professional advice. I'm literally just a random person on the internet looking at energies and giving my unsolicited opinions. My aim is always to uplift, inspire, and empower, but I'm always also going to be honest with you, and I'm going to try and offer advice I'd give to a best friend. So you can think of me as your faraway internet bestie who wants to see you happy, healthy, and thriving. And with that little disclaimer out of the way, let's go ahead and introduce these piles today. That was a bit of a long one, I know, but I always feel the need to just confirm that, as I do when I do these kinds of relationship readings. So over here we have pile 1 with the Everyday Witch Tarot and the Ghost on a Bike sticker. That is pile 1, the Everyday Witch Tarot and the Ghost on a Bike sticker. Here we have pile 2 with the Cute Ghost Tarot and the Ghost with a Beer sticker. That is pile 2 with the Cute Ghost Tarot and the Ghost with a Beer sticker. Over here, we have pile 3 with the Chubby Bun Tarot and the Ghost on a Skateboard sticker. That's pile 3 with the Chubby Bun Tarot and the Ghost on a Skateboard sticker. And over here, we have pile 4 with the Adventure Time Tarot and the Ghost with the Headphone sticker. That is pile 4, the Adventure Time Tarot and the Ghost with the Headphone sticker. Once you've made your selection, please head to the description box or the pinned comment below. Timestamps are listed there and they will take you to the start of your chosen reading. You are also very, very welcome to choose more than one pile if more than one is calling to you today. With all of that said, let's get started with the readings today. Again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to read for you. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you get a chance. All of that just lets me know you enjoy the content and you want to see more of it going forward. So I would really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much, collective. I hope you enjoy the reading and I'll see you at your chosen pile. Hi Pile 1 Collective, if you chose the Everyday Witch Tarot and the Ghost Riding a Bike sticker, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. In today's reading, we are asking, why did they ghost and are they coming back to life? More specifically, your life. We're looking at who this person is and the overarching connection, their thoughts and feelings towards you, your thoughts and feelings towards them. We're looking into why specifically they ghosted, and we're also going to be asking what their next actions are in terms of this connection. Will they be coming back from the dead or are they staying a ghost? So this reading is about that person in your life who just straight up vanished. They disappeared into thin air, they got distant, they stopped communicating. We are spilling the tea on that person. It could be a situation from your past or a situation you have been through very recently or you are going through. The reading is intended to be timeless, so whenever you watch it is the right time. For a lot of you, this will be a romantic connection, but it certainly doesn't have to be. This could also be about a connection with a platonic person or just someone who, for some reason, pulled back their energy and you're not really sure why. I would recommend checking out the introduction if you would like a full breakdown of what this reading will entail. I go through absolutely everything there. What I do want to reiterate just briefly is that if you feel like any part of this reading is likely to be more harmful to you than helpful, please prioritize your own emotional health and give this one a miss. These readings are intended to provide clarity, not to confuse you further. So if we happen to get messages regarding a particular person or situation that you are done with, that just means that you are on a different stage of the timeline as another person who chose the same pile as you. Always just take what's for you and leave the rest for somebody else. With all of that said, I really hope you enjoy this reading today. I hope it provides some clarity. And without hesitation, let's have a look at the oracle cards we pulled for you. So I'm actually going to pop these tarot cards to one side for now so we can focus on the oracle cards. And we're going to be looking at the overarching energy of this connection, which might give you some clues as to who this person is. Okay, pile 1, we have got boundaries. We have got winter. And we have got escape. So to sort of simplify the overall feeling I'm getting in the most basic way, something was happening here and then it wasn't. It felt like something was happening and then it ended. Somebody pulled away and someone was left out in the cold here with this winter card. And obviously, a collective reading is going to cover many different situations. So for some of you, this was more an established relationship where somebody created a distance. And for others of you, this could be more like a talking stage where you thought you were getting somewhere, communication was frequent or consistent, and then suddenly it wasn't anymore. It could be that you met someone and you thought that you were vibing and it was going to turn into something else, and then they didn't make a move and the door kind of got slammed in someone's face here. But whatever the case may be, there's a feeling of loss. Obviously, to a lesser degree, if you weren't in a relationship with this person and you were just talking or you'd only just met. But even then, there's this feeling of like, oh, I thought we were on track for this thing, or I enjoyed this person being part of my routine or talking to them every day. And then, for no rhyme or reason, the rug was pulled out from under you in that sense. It feels like at some point there was some level of consistency here, and you'd potentially included this person in some of your future plans. And that doesn't have to mean you thinking that you're going to marry this person or whatever. It's obviously going to depend on the intimacy level you had with them. Obviously, if you guys were official, you might have considered bigger things like that, like marriage, moving in together. It's something you thought about. But when I say future plans, it doesn't have to mean something as huge as that. I think what I mean is like you were led to believe that there was a future timeline where you and this person interacted or you were in each other's lives to some capacity. It could be, that this person suggested making plans for future events, and maybe it wasn't just like, oh, I'll take you out to eat tomorrow, but it was things like, oh, we'll go and visit this place one day, or we should go to this concert in 6 months. It felt like something that was more for the long term. So that's why perhaps it felt more jarring when this thing just ended. Like you couldn't imagine a point where you would not be talking to this person every day. Maybe they became just a normal part of your routine and it became this kind of source of comfort for you. Maybe you'd wake up always expecting to see that morning text from them, and then one day when it didn't come, it left you feeling iced out. And that loss, that sense of loss that we're getting, it's going to mean different things to different people. Obviously, if this wasn't really a thing, this could just be a case of you thinking, like, that's a shame that they just stopped speaking. Like, I miss chatting to them. I miss them being part of my day. But for others of you, where it had got to more of a serious stage, you might feel more of that sense of loss and heartbreak over this sudden departure from their usual behaviour, like them becoming distant or stopping communicating. Whatever the case may be, it's like the two of you were in a summer season of your connection one minute. Things felt bright and alive and busy. You were having fun. You were talking a lot, laughing a lot, making plans. It felt like there was a lot of potential here. And then instead of that summer season slowly transitioning into a more settled autumn, instead it just suddenly became winter. It suddenly became freezing out of nowhere. Things started just falling away. Conversation maybe became sparse. Your diary looked bare because those plans weren't being made. Conversation felt flat or dead, and it's just extremely jarring. It was very abrupt. It could be that someone here has gone inwards following the death of this connection. It could be that somebody is spending a lot of time alone here, being introspective or choosing not to date, protecting their time and energy. That is what the winter season makes me feel of. It's like going inwards. The winter season generally could be significant to this connection. For example, if you met or you were speaking around wintertime last year, or if there's a chance you might see this person this upcoming winter, like maybe for some of you who are traveling home for the holidays and this person is from your hometown, let's say, or you'll be attending social events around Christmas that this person will also be attending. Obviously, those specific examples don't have to apply, but that is what the winter season kind of makes me feel like. But there could be something about you potentially bumping into this person or communication happening around Christmas. That might not be for everyone, but I do feel like Christmas is always a good excuse for people to kind of pop back up again. I feel like it opens the door for people to communicate because there's sort of that sense of like, I mean, if you celebrate Christmas, obviously, if you don't, take it to mean whatever it means for you. But I just feel like it's that time of year where people are like, let's forget what's ever happened in the past because it's Christmas. So this could be like this person popping up to send you a Merry Christmas text or something like that on the actual day, or like finding out what you're up to over the festive period, if that applies. But as I'm looking at this boundaries card specifically, I keep hearing this message of like things got too real or things got too serious and someone had to flee with this escape card. So for some of you, it could be that things were actually going really well and flowing very naturally until you made it official with this person or when boundaries had to be established. So this could be a conversation surrounding boundaries in terms of exclusivity as just one example. It doesn't have to be that. But it could be that this person panicked when they felt like they were given too much responsibility. Responsibility meaning an expectation of loyalty in that example, or being given the title of boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever the case may be, like they felt as though it was too much for them or something. Or it could be, as another example, going from a friends with benefits situation to dating or something like that. Even though nothing within the relationship had to change, it's as though this person somehow felt pressured and then they panicked and they made it weird. They felt trapped and like they had to escape. And it's almost crazy because you and this person could have been vibing for weeks or months, like things were going good. And on their end, they probably didn't even want to date anyone but you. And yet, when this conversation about boundaries came up or about exclusivity, it doesn't have to be that example, like we said, but when something came up where like you expressed that you wanted a change in behavior or you wanted to set like a certain rule or just a discussion was had that felt a little bit more serious than usual. Like basically when this person has to have some kind of serious conversation about expectations or feelings, they sort of make it into this big deal in their head and they fly off the deep end a little bit. They're kind of like, oh, because we had this one conversation saying we want to be with each other and not anyone else, that must mean that we have to immediately get married or something like that. It's almost like they feel as though a choice is being taken away from them if they were to elevate the relationship. So, as one example, if you came to them and you were like, hey, like, could we maybe not date other people? It's like they didn't want to date other people anyway, but now that you've asked them not to, everything suddenly feels like too much and they have to dip out. I actually think this person's freedom felt threatened and they felt like they were escaping something, but now they're kind of in their own winter season and feeling cold and lonely and isolated. I think maybe they're realizing that they fumbled here because I'm getting this image of like, at first they fled and they were kind of relieved. They didn't really look back and they were giving themselves this pat on the back, like, thank goodness we got out of there. We escaped. We're not in danger anymore. And it's like, danger of what though? Like the potential for real love and commitment, the chance of getting everything you've ever wanted. Like, is that what they're afraid of? And honestly, Part One, the answer is yes. Like, that is what this person's running away from because they're scared of their own feelings. True, authentic connection feels so dangerous to them because it would leave them open to true rejection. It felt overwhelming. It's like this person was having a good time and some kind of conversation was had, and it kind of jolted this person into panic because suddenly they were like, wait, this is actually a thing. Someone actually cares about me and sees me as an integral part of their life. No, that scares me. I can't be relied upon. I can't have that expectation put on me. And so maybe they made you feel like what you were asking for was too much, or they just suddenly became distant in terms of their communication and you could sense it, but you didn't really know what was wrong. And then maybe if you brought it up, they denied it or they said that you were needy. And it just felt like this connection went from hot to lukewarm to completely cold. Maybe you were like, how could this person be so all about me and then suddenly just go so distant? But now it's like they've run away without really looking at where they were running to. And now they've propelled themselves into their own winter season. And they're like, oh, wait, it's freezing here and I'm not dressed for this weather. If only I had someone to come and bring me a warm coat. But they don't. So maybe they're feeling that loss now. Like maybe that's hitting them. There could be something about them looking round at their friends who are finding love and settling down, and they're coming face to face with what they could have had. I'm getting this image of them in that situation where they've run into the cold and they're underdressed and they're trying to like FaceTime relatives or friends to come and pick them up, but nobody's coming because all their friends and family are at home warm and cozy with their own friends and family. It's like in the background of this video call, there's a roaring fire and everyone looks nice and warm and happy, and this person is just stood staring into that screen, shivering, having the worst time of their life and thinking to themselves, I ran and for what? It's not gotten me to a better place. They're just stood there shivering, like now I feel left out of everything. I would say it's highly likely this person has an avoidant or anxious avoidant attachment style. I mean, that's not surprising when we look at a reading about ghosting, so I'm sure that doesn't come as a shock to you, pal one. And it's interesting as well, when I've had this escape card showing up in other readings, I often interpret it as a positive message, like freedom, like escaping a bad situation. But here, it honestly just feels more sad, like they thought they were escaping being tied down or held back, but in actuality, they were just running from their own feelings. I'm getting the image in my head of that scene from My Mad Fat Diary with the birds. It's like when Ray lets them out of the cage, she's not doing it with malicious intent, but they're not able to survive out of the cage. They take their chance at freedom, but it's to their detriment. And when Ray's mum says to her something like, well, what did you think they were going to do? Fly back to the Bahamas? It's like this person once believed that running was going to solve their problems or lead them to better things. And now they know that's not the case. Like now they're having a sort of reality check. And also like with the imagery on this boundaries card, it is like a protection circle. But for some reason, it's also making me think of the 4 elements, like balance, and whatever boundaries you set, it seems like they were fair and balanced and they were with the intention of having a healthy connection. But this person, it seems like they weren't able to handle something balanced. they actively run from healthy connections because they thrive in chaos, even if they end up in situations that are harmful to them. It feels like it's all they've ever known. So, this could be a pattern they've been repeating for a long time, maybe something they learned due to relationships that were modeled for them in childhood. But I definitely think this person is having realizations about this connection and that they can't just outrun their feelings. Some of you could have made sure that this person has no access to you or limited access to you, like you've made your socials private, you've blocked them, you don't converse with them, or you keep conversations to a minimum if you have to converse with them. You could have had to shut them out to heal this. It's like you've been protecting yourself. So that is what I'm getting for the oracle portion of your reading, pile one. We are going to move on to the tarot portion of your reading, so please bear with me and we'll have a look at what we pulled for you. I really hope you are enjoying the reading so far, and I'll see you at the tarot portion of your reading. Hi Power One Collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the first 4 cards we pulled for you. So we are going to be looking at this person, their energy towards you and the connection. I don't know why as well, but looking at this sticker, it's just popped into my mind now. This sticker is reminding me of Stranger Things. I'm getting something about Stranger Things. So maybe that's something that you and this person watch together, or maybe somebody here is like rewatching Stranger Things right now. I don't know why it's making me think of that. But yeah, that was just an extra little message. Let's have a look at the first 4 cards. I'm just going to pop that sticker to one side. Okay, so we have got the 3 of Pentacles. We've got the Knight of Cups. We've got the 6 of Cups. And we've got the 9 of Wands. It's funny that we got that example of caged birds in the oracle reading, because the message I'm hearing as I'm looking at these 4 cards, it's like this person is saying, put me back in my cage. I want to go back to my cage. And this example probably won't resonate, but it's almost making me think of crate training a dog. If you've ever done that, it's like at first it can be hard to get them to go in their cage, especially if you have like a really excitable puppy. They're like, I don't want to go in my cage. There are so many exciting things to explore over here and over here. But eventually you find that the more you train the dog, the more the dog actually wants to go in that crate, because they associate it with praise or with feeling rewarded, or they see it as their safe space. Now, I have 2 dogs and they're out of the crate most of the time, but they do have access to a crate. Like they can kind of come and go as they please. And I noticed that when they've been playing together, like chasing each other, the older of the 2, who is slightly less energetic now, will go to her crate and lie down as a way of saying to her sister, I need a break. I'm in my safe space. Leave me alone. So she actually wants to spend time there, even though when she was a puppy, it probably felt like a prison to her. And that's what this is reminding me of. I'm not saying that this person is a dog. I mean, some of you might kind of feel that they are with their behavior, but it's like what I'm getting is this person is homesick for you, particularly with the 6 of Cups. They're hoping that you guys can have a reunion. I think they're reflecting on memories and feeling very nostalgic towards you. Maybe they're yearning for simpler times, or they're wondering why things had to get complicated. Maybe they thought it was simple at first, but then it wasn't. They became confused. But maybe now they're sort of berating themselves, like if this is a decision they've made, they could be sort of looking back at what's happened and asking themselves, why did I have to overcomplicate things? I can see that it didn't have to be this way. Maybe some of them are missing you. Like if a good bit of time has passed between you guys speaking, it could be that, if this person has gone out dating again, it's like everyone they meet just doesn't, I don't know why I want to say cut the mustard. They don't cut the mustard. I don't know what that means. They don't hit the same, basically. Like they're just not up to the standard that you are. And they're yearning for that time where like they didn't have to like go on first dates and end up being disappointed with people who just weren't doing it for them. Like that is a message that I'm getting. Obviously that won't apply to everyone. They might not be dating anyone else. That's just a message that's coming through for somebody. But I'm getting that this person might know that they've behaved childishly or immaturely. I'm also getting someone looking at old pictures or old videos or text threads. So this could be very much the energy they're in right now. Like if you thought you were over this situation and this person just randomly pops up into your mind, it could be because they are thinking of you. If your families know each other, it could be that they're hoping to bump into you at some kind of family reunion or the place where you guys grew up. For some of you, this is someone you have known for a long time, like they were a childhood friend or someone you knew since school or as a teenager, or your families knew each other from a young age. But if it's not that, there's just this sense of maybe when this person encountered you and you guys were vibing, it felt like you've known each other forever, even if you actually haven't. Or this person somehow feels like you're meant to be in their life for a long time. They could also be romanticizing some aspects of this connection. It could have felt like this situation was very hot and cold. I know we spoke about that like swift sort of change in seasons during the oracle reading, this connection going from summer to winter very abruptly. I'm really feeling that same thing here in terms of how this person operates generally. I think this is a pattern they have repeated. It's like they're head over heels for someone, and then when things feel too real, they're suddenly not. And for a few of you, this person could have come across as very love bomby, like they were making plans and promises, and they were leading you to believe that there was a future, and then you saw their true colours or they panicked and dipped out. They could have approached you sort of doing everything right in a romantic sense initially, like they took you out on dates, or they're planning for the future. They're telling you, we'll do this, or I'll take you to this place. They could have been very charming initially, like they came in and swept you off your feet, and it was like this fairy tale. And it's almost as though once things got past the honeymoon phase, they seemingly lost interest or they became distant. This seems like someone who thrives on newness of things, or like they don't feel completely comfortable when a relationship settles in, I want to say. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's almost like when they reach a stage of a relationship where the mask would slip, it's like this person sort of puts on a show. They're all about being this chivalrous hero, whining and dining you, being very attentive to your needs, saying and doing all of the right things. But I think they're actually scared of being truly seen. And the thing is, at the moment at least, I'm not seeing that this person has malicious intent. I do think that they've done this before, but I don't think this is deliberate in the sense that when they do it, they're thinking, oh, I'm going to promise this person the world and make them fall for me and then leave. It's like they genuinely do want the fairy tale, but they also want to maintain control over their image and have people view them in a certain way. And sometimes that thing where they're maintaining control of their image, sometimes that means more to them than creating a long lasting relationship. And it's not that they're not some of the things we mentioned, it's just that that level of showmanship that they were portraying isn't sustainable. They can't show up that way 100% of the time, but they'd rather run away and sort of leave people with this shallow picture of them than allow people to see all of them, because that's just too raw, it's too unfiltered, and that's very uncomfortable for them. It leaves them open to rejection, and they just don't feel like they will be fully loved if they were to show all of these sides. This could lead this person to people please or try to escape situations where there's a disagreement or when boundaries are put in place, because those things might challenge the image they have of themselves and the image they want others to have of them. So the things they feel in the beginning, it's not that those things are a lie, it's just that they reach a point where there's a certain barrier of intimacy that they just can't seem to cross. But it could come across to you as like, why did you say all of those things to me if you knew it wasn't going to happen? And we will talk about your energy when we look at the next few cards, but right now I'm trying to explain, this person's mindset, whether that mindset is right or wrong. I'm just saying what I'm seeing and sensing. And it's like this person does have a fear of disappointing you, or maybe disappointing people in general. Maybe they were made to feel like a disappointment growing up. So now it's like in their personal relationships, if someone expresses a boundary, they might automatically kind of go into panic mode. They're suddenly like, oh no, like I've disappointed this person, I've ruined the whole thing, or they've seen a different side of me that I didn't want them to see. And if they show you a behavior that doesn't line up to this version of themselves that they like to show to the world, and you've said like, oh, what's that about? Or, oh, could we just have a discussion about this? It feels like they feel like they've exposed too much of that side. And so in their mind, it's like, oh no, this person has seen this side of me now and I don't want them to see that. They're probably not going to like it, so now I have to run. It's going to be different things depending on where you are at in your connection with this person. But this could be something as, I guess, simple as you and them talking and they have a bad day and then they get distant with you because they didn't want you to see them on a bad day. And because you've had a day where it's not all sunshine and rainbows, they think that means that the relationship must be going bad. So it's like they preemptively dip out. Or if you're a little further along than that, it could be this person being reluctant to take the relationship to the next stage of commitment, like they won't move in with you, for example, or introduce you to their family, because it feels like there's certain things are wrapped up in that they aren't ready to show you. It does feel like they're looking at this connection with a lot of affection, and I think if they were to speak to other people about this connection, it does seem like they would gloss over the potential negatives in favour of romanticising all of their experiences with you. Like, if they were to mention a place that you guys went on a date, as one example, they would say to people, like, yeah, I took Pal One to this restaurant on their birthday, and I gave them a big bunch of flowers, and I asked the waiter to come over and sing happy birthday, and we shared this really nice dessert. It was so romantic. But on your end, it could be like, yeah, but on that same date, I asked you if you wanted to make things official, and you said you were going to the bathroom, and then you escaped out the bathroom window and made me get the bill. Obviously, it won't be that extreme example, but it's like they're looking at you and at your connection very, very fondly, but they're maybe not acknowledging some of the ways they could have hurt this connection. I do think deep down they are aware that it could be a battle getting you to open up to them again, particularly with this Nine of Wands. They know that things didn't work out as planned. They know that they maybe haven't been able to deliver what was promised. And I don't think they would try to communicate with you expecting it to be totally smooth sailing, because the Nine of Wands often talks about expecting trouble. So I'm getting that if they were to reach out, they would probably know that you'd have your guard up. I think they know they wouldn't be able to come in with like a hey, how are you? So maybe they're considering how they could negotiate a reconciliation. It could be that they use Christmas time as a kind of lead in, although that might not apply to everyone. They're wondering how they could get you and them back on a timeline of being in each other's lives. They know they have to be sensitive to your needs and that they need to be tactful in terms of how they would approach. It also seems like they know if they were to say something, it's not going to be like a quick fix. Like, this would be an ongoing battle. They couldn't just send that one message. They'd have to show consistency and perseverance. It wouldn't just be like one nice conversation and all is forgotten. I think they are aware of that. But this person does view the connection as kind of where their heart lies. Like, with this Three of Pentacles, it does feel like they're giving this connection a lot of attention. They are dedicated to something here. So for some of you, that might be dedication to making this work or to reconciliation on some level. But to others of you, where let's say, like, you know that you're done with this situation because this is someone from the past and you're never going back, just interpret this as this person reflecting on past memories and what they learned from this connection, because that's a big thing. The Nine of Wands talks about learning from past failure. So it could be if this person has wound up in a similar situation, again, due to a repeated pattern, they are reflecting on your connection and thinking about things that went wrong. And for others of you, where you want this person to come back and you would be open to that, I do think that they are motivated. I think they know they'd have to put a lot of effort in, but they view this connection as high quality. So I think they are committed to that. They might feel like you guys work well together. If you have mutual friends, this Three of Pentacles could also be like they're hoping to bump into you via a mutual friend or via a social circle, or they're asking about you via friends, or they're wondering if a friend can collaborate with them in terms of talking to you again. Maybe they're telling a friend to put in a good word or confirm that they've changed or something like that. That could just apply to one or two people here. But let's move along now and let's have a look at how you're feeling towards this person and the connection pile one. Okay, so we have got Queen of Pentacles, we have got the Hermit, we have got Justice, and we have got the Page of Cups in reverse. I think you've very much been focusing on you with this Hermit. You've gone inwards, you've been doing your inner work. I think we mentioned something about, I guess, Hermit energy, like that winter kind of energy, about introspection during the Oracle reading. Some of you, it feels like you've been throwing your energy into other things. Some of you have been focused on work or money or glowing up in a very physical way with this Queen of Pentacles. I think a lot of you have not sworn off relationships or dating, but if this is a romantic connection we're talking about, it doesn't feel like you've gone from this person straight to somebody else, for example. It feels like you're taking a step back and you've been giving yourself much needed time to process and heal, and you've been putting effort into other things that bring you joy. And you're using some of these things as like a distraction, but it's actually like a very, very healthy outlet. It feels like you've been doing all the right things. Like, honestly, pile one, I feel the way you've dealt with this situation is immaculate. And I'm not saying this was easy for you by any means. And I'm not saying like you've not had your time crying about it and getting upset like you might have done depending on where you were at with this person. Like, I'm not at all saying it was just like, whatever, I'm going to do my thing super easy like that. But I do feel like the energy you're in now, it's like you're at the stage where you can talk about it and not get too upset because you've done your inner work. And I think what you've realized is that you are not responsible for how anyone acts. And if someone chooses to ghost, that has very little to do with you. It's like you've had this realization about this. It does feel like you have detached a little bit more. I don't think this is something that has just happened. It feels like you have had a bit of time and space to process this. Because maybe at first you did kind of go into self blame mode, or you were asking, like, what did I do wrong? But now you've taken a step back and you're realizing that that was never on you. So it feels like you've been occupying your body and mind with other things, throwing yourself into business or hobbies, spending time with loved ones, socializing and having fun, taking care of your family, and you're not letting this person's behavior dictate your behavior. I get a very, very self respecting energy from you, Pal One. It's like you're not lowering your standards just because something didn't go right. You'd rather be on your own or independent and wait for the right thing to come along. You're approaching the idea of dating or not dating in this very down to earth, sensible, practical kind of way. The example I'm getting now, do you know when people say the best way to get over someone is to get under someone else? It's like on your end, you have options. And if you wanted to get under somebody else, you know that you could do that in a heartbeat. But you've been smart about it and you've said, maybe I'm not in the best place to be doing that right now. It's like if you were dealing with any self worth or confidence issues in the aftermath of this person ghosting, you went inwards and you worked on yourself without any external validation. And by the way, that's not me like slut shaming anyone. But if you're going to go out and sleep with someone, do it because you genuinely want to and not because you're trying to escape your feelings for somebody else or to try to make somebody else jealous or to try to get validation. You didn't do that because you're better than that. You did all the work yourself. And that's not me saying you can't date or you can't be intimate with somebody. Like, you can do what you want, and if you genuinely want to go out and have your fun, then by all means do that. It's just me saying, like, this point that you're at, it feels like you've given yourself space to work on yourself before jumping into that. Obviously, if you do want to do those things and have your fun, then definitely do that. But this is about you being in the right place mentally so that this is a fun experience for you rather than it adding an extra layer of complication when you were already feeling fragile in the wake of this particular situation. And I'm saying that because there's this feeling like you're coming out winning here. And it reminds me of that thing that people say, like, when there's a breakup, watch out for the person who goes through a massive transformation and glows up versus the person who moves on straight away. It feels like this person, for a while after this situation ended, they didn't reflect, they reverted to type and went straight onto the next thing. And you, on the other hand, chose to really sit with yourself, and that work you've done and the transformation you've been through shows. Meanwhile, you're feeling like this person is still engaging in some form of childish behavior. You could feel like they are attention seeking or trying to fill some kind of void via the romantic connections they're making. The Page of Cups can refer to being promiscuous, so it could be that this person has like kind of flitted from one person to the next, and they're very image conscious, so they think this makes them look good. Like, maybe they use their romantic opportunities as some kind of a flex, but really it's just not a flex. Like, they think it makes them look cool, but really we all know that it's just them running away from their own feelings. And the next person they move on to, they might try and sort of show them off, but we all know that it's not going to last just like the last several because they haven't done their work. Like, that's how you're feeling. And it could be that they've been trying to get some kind of reaction out of you, maybe via social media, posting pictures with different kinds of people, hoping that it will make you jealous or hoping that you'll reach out. But I don't think that it has worked here. If you guys don't have each other on social media, maybe this is like they post a picture hoping that it will get back to you. Like, they do it deliberately so that a mutual friend will see it and tell you about it or something like that. But I don't think you're rising to it. I think you have remained in your lane here. I think you haven't let this person's actions dictate your behavior. And I think now you're showing up as the Queen of Pentacles, and it's very obvious that this person fumbled something good. You definitely don't look at this person as fondly as they look at you, but that makes sense if they were the one who ghosted and they hurt you. I feel like with this Page of Cups, they promised you things that they weren't able to deliver. You might feel like they're too immature or too unreliable. Maybe you're viewing them as only caring about shallow things, or you think they're not putting themselves in the best situations or surrounding themselves with the best people. But I feel like with this Justice card, you've gotten to the stage where you're viewing this as a life lesson of some kind. Maybe you can see that this person, although they're trying to do all of these things to fill a void, you can sense that they're lonely deep down, but a part of you is like, that's just karma. Those are the consequences of your actions. You'll have to live with that. Maybe once upon a time it felt like the shoe was on the other foot, But now maybe you're like, well, I'm doing better and this person can just stay missing me. A big part of you probably once felt like what happened wasn't fair because there was all this potential here and then nothing. This connection didn't live up to what you thought it would. And it seemed like this person was doing their own thing and they were unfazed while you had to deal with all these emotions and you had to go inwards and you had to really do the work. And they weren't doing any of that at the time. But now it's like the tides are turning. You're the one doing better. You're feeling more like this Queen of Pentacles. If that is not happening for you right now, I feel like this is an energy you are going to be stepping into very, very soon. And maybe this person's now not feeling too great. And you're just kind of like, well, that's what happens. Like, I'm sorry, but you know that it's not your problem. You've done everything right here. So now we're going to get into the juicy details. We're going to be looking at the next 4 cards and we're going to be asking specifically, why did this person ghost? So let's have a look at what we pulled for you, Power One. Okay, so we have got the 3 of Swords reversed. We have got the 3 of Wands reversed. We have got the 8 of Cups. And we have got the Page of Wands. So the reason they ghosted is because, and I feel like you're going to be mad at me for saying this, it's because they were overcoming a past heartbreak, but this is something they had been repressing. And the reason I say you guys might be mad is because you're like, well, it seems like they don't have a heart, like the way they treated me or the way they've treated other people. But again, it's because this is something they have been deeply, deeply repressing. There was something they hadn't let go of, but they have this difficulty in terms of going inwards and truly reflecting on that. And please bear in mind, when I say past heartbreak, I don't necessarily mean an ex. For some of you, yes, this person was hurt by an ex-boyfriend or an ex-girlfriend, an ex-husband or wife, and it's had this impact on them that they've struggled to acknowledge. They've just thrown themselves into other situations and other people. But this past heartbreak can refer to a way they were made to feel unsafe throughout their childhood. So this could be to do with domestic conflict or this person's parents having a messy separation or a difficult marriage, a lot of conflict within a marriage or something like that, and that gave them a sort of negative perspective when it came to long-term relationships and disagreeing and setting up boundaries and things like that. It could be to do with this person having grown up with a toxic family member who never praised them or who manipulated them, and so they felt that love is conditional and it's made them struggle to feel safe being who they truly are in a romantic relationship. So it's not necessarily something obvious like, oh, you're just not over your ex. It might be that, but it might not be, because I really do think this person's heartbreak is very, very, very deeply. I don't think this is something they necessarily understand about themselves. Sometimes we act in ways that we know aren't in our best interest, and we can reflect on those things and be like, oh yeah, I did that because me and my ex split up and I was in a really bad place at the time. But it's kind of like this person, there's an element of it's too painful for them to even look at, and so they just repeat this pattern. Every time they enter a relationship, they might have all the best intentions of this will be the one that sticks this time, I'm going to put my all into this. And then when the inevitable happens, they're confused all over again, but instead of going inwards, they're off trying to move on to the next thing to distract them from those emotions. Some of them could actually enter relationships thinking like, this will be the person who makes me change, or this will be the person to fix me, not realizing that nobody else can change your life for you. If they want to change, they have to do the work, but it's like they've spent a long time looking in all the wrong places. What they've needed to do for a long time with this 8 of Cups is do some serious self-analysis, actually go deeper to discover the truth. And it could be that this connection with you has been a catalyst in them realizing this and actually starting with that journey, because maybe they had such high regard for you that they were like, if I can't make things work with someone as amazing as Pal One, then maybe I really am the problem. Maybe I do need to do something about that and take a good, long, hard look at myself. They could have been putting this off for a long time and putting things down to like things just not working out or the other person being a problem rather than them admitting that they sabotage the connection. They could have viewed relationships as their wings being clipped, their freedom being taken away. They felt trapped, like with this 3 of Wands reversed. So maybe they've been in this ongoing pattern of sort of going full steam ahead, rushing into relationships, thinking like, this will be the one that changes everything, this person will be the one to make me commit, to then getting frustrated and feeling trapped when they can't act the way they did when they were single, and then feeling the need to distance themselves because they've been a disappointment. And so they're like, I've failed, I just need to be alone, because they can't face the prospect of being seen as anything other than perfect. But I think they are honestly more than anything frustrated with themselves. I think every time this happens, this person does have a moment of like, why do I always do this? They're confused by it, but I think it's because they've been focusing more on the external validation than unpacking some of their own baggage. And that's not fair because you can't put all of this on another person. Maybe they did that with you, and that's why things felt so intense in the beginning, because they felt like you would be the ones who changed their life. And so they had so many ideas of what you and them could be. They had so much passion. They were very excitable. They wanted to plan things and tell you about all the amazing things you and them could do. Maybe they were messaging you all the time, calling you a lot, because they're viewing you as this bright, shiny person who is going to be the one who ends this cycle they find themselves stuck in. But then maybe when one thing went wrong, or you guys had a serious conversation, or you made your expectations known, you set boundaries in some way, they felt like everything was going wrong and they felt like they had to exit before they got rejected. There's a part of them where even maybe the mildest criticism has them like, oh, I've disappointed pal one already, so I guess I've failed now and I guess I just need to dip out. It doesn't even have to be criticism. It could be just any element of a connection becoming more solid. It has them scared because they're like, I promised all these things, but it's never got to this stage before, and now I'm panicking because I'm not sure I can live up to what I said. I'm not sure if I can maintain this image forever. It's something along those lines. They do sort of flip from one thing to another. I don't know why I'm getting this, but when this person was a kid, it could be that they were the kind of kid who had a really short attention span, or they were constantly going up to adults and saying, I'm bored. Like, instead of sticking to something, they wanted the newest, shiniest toy and expected other people to come up with things to entertain them, rather than them using their imagination and finding ways to entertain themselves. And obviously, when kids act that way, I'm sure it can be frustrating for many parents, but we kind of understand it because they're children and their brains haven't developed fully yet. It's understandable. But it's like this person has sort of refused throughout the years to do that inner work and grow up. And so the way that children treat toys in that example is the way this person as an adult treats certain relationships in their life. And again, they are not malicious in that they are intending to hurt others, but what's annoying is that they do hurt others because they refuse to look at what's really going on. It's like they wind up in the same situation and they're confused, like, oh no, how did this happen again? Because they're not fully reflecting, they're just kind of saying, oh, but things will be different with this next person, but it's never different because they never do anything differently. I think with you though, something has happened where they have been reflecting on how they rush into things, and it feels like they maybe are going a little bit deeper. Some of them, it's like maybe they've had their hoe phase and they're now figuring out a way to rely less on external validation, and they're trying to rediscover their passions, but they've needed some distance and space to do that. It's like they've had to abandon something and walk away to really work on themselves here. They've had to do this alone. Some of them could have gone traveling, or for one or two of you, long distance could have been a factor here. Distance could have gotten in the way. Maybe when you guys had a connection, it was hard to make it work and keep the spark there, as they knew, they had to move somewhere. It could be that you and them discussed travel plans or arranged to meet up, but then it never happened. Or this could be them hoping for reconciliation if they are able to return to you, either to visit or to move closer to you. It could be that if these travel plans fell through before, then they're going to be more determined to move towards you in the future. Maybe they're upset with themselves that, like, if, as one example, they said they were going to come and visit you, maybe they're disappointed at themselves for lacking the confidence to do that. Like, if you guys talked online a lot and they're like, yeah, I'm going to come and visit you, it could be that when things got real, or it came to, like, actually booking the flight, they got cold feet, and then maybe they found it easier to just stop speaking instead of opening up about that. It can be any example, but I think they just believed that it would be easier to leave this alone completely than it would be to show you a side of them that they were disappointed in, or that could disappoint you. They didn't want you to see them in their entirety, in whichever way that applies, and it felt like the connection was being too much for them. They thought that if they did this one thing, they would be trapped or they would be restricted, but they've ended up in a position they don't want to be in anyway, because they are still trapped in their own mind, thinking about you and thinking about this connection. So let's have a look at whether they're coming back to life, specifically your life, pal one. Okay, so we have got the Seven of Wands. We've got the Five of Wands. We've got the Ace of Cups. And we've got the Two of Pentacles. Okay, I kind of hate this for you, pal one. Not because this is bad news, but because this is incredibly frustrating. And depending on where you're at on the timeline with this individual, you could have already been experiencing some of this, or you could have already gotten the sense that this is likely to happen because you know what this person is like. You might know them better than they know themselves, even some of you. Now, obviously nothing is ever set in stone. People can always change their mind, but the energy that I'm picking up on right now in this moment is that yes, this person will be trying to come back into your life. The thing is, they're going to be doing it right at the point where they feel like you are moving on or that you are over them. So this could be something that is happening or something that will happen very, very soon, because we did see you as being in that Queen of Pentacles energy and having a certain level of detachment from this situation. So for those of you where you're not dating anybody, but you have moved on in the sense that you've distanced yourself from this connection and you're focusing on finding joy in singleness as one example, it's almost like this person is picking up on that shift. They're aware that you're doing good without them and they're becoming increasingly desperate to fight for your attention again. That could have been something you've already noticed in terms of their behavior or what they post on social media, for example. But maybe you've been staying in your own lane and not letting it phase you, and this has been causing a lot of conflict within this person. But for some of you, this could happen just as you are starting to develop feelings for a new person, you're starting to date someone new. Because with this Ace of Cups, that talks about new feelings and is often associated with new love opportunities. That does not have to be the case. It could just be you found a hobby you love, and just as you're not focusing on your heartbreak because you're throwing yourself into this hobby, this person comes along trying to entice you back or distract you. Like, look what's over here, pal one, look what I've got for you. But I think for a lot of you, it might be when you're talking to someone new and it kind of forces this person to realize what they've lost and take action. Because with this Seven of Wands, it's like these stakes feel high here. So maybe on this person's end, there's a sense of like, if I don't act now, I could lose pile one forever. There's a sort of now or never feeling. They want to keep one foot in the door here with this Two of Pentacles. There's this sense of someone juggling. So it doesn't have to be that they're juggling another person whilst trying to talk to you. For some of you, it might be that, but for a lot of you, it might just be like, they still have other things to deal with, like they're still in a different country or they're focused on something else, but they want you to hold space for them. So they're making their presence known in some kind of way. And I'm also getting something about territory here. So maybe they hear that you're speaking to someone else and they see this person complimenting your pictures on social media as just one example. It doesn't have to be this one. But then suddenly, even though they've ignored you for months or they've not liked a single one of your pictures, suddenly they're popping up, making this person aware of their presence, and they're trying to give you a better compliment or make it clear that they've known you for longer or something like that. It's like they see someone complimenting on your picture, saying beautiful or something like that, and then they have to comment saying like, you are the most amazing, beautiful goddess I have ever seen. Like they have to one up this person in some kind of way. It doesn't have to be that example, but it's something like that. I don't know, like maybe you post a picture hanging out with this new person at a Chinese restaurant, and this person replies, like, remember when we used to get Chinese food every week? It's like they're trying to remind you that you were once theirs, or that you guys have more of a history than you and this new person, but it just comes across as like jealousy, them competing with this new person. And it's especially frustrating if there was a time when you would have been overjoyed at them claiming you like that. Like maybe when things were distant, it felt like you would have had to beg to get them to give you that attention, but now they're giving it freely because they're feeling like they have to fight for it. And maybe this is just how they feel. Like maybe on your end, you're not even dating anyone, but they see or hear you're hanging out with someone and maybe they assume it's romantic. Maybe because they're a person who can't be friends with their preferred gender or genders without making it romantic. So they assume that you must be doing the same thing, or they assume it must be another person making you happy because they rely on external sources for their happiness. When maybe it's not that, maybe it's just that you found yourself and you have truly moved on. They might think you have to find someone else to move on, but maybe you're just genuinely happy doing your own thing. It's going to be different things for different people, but it's like they find that a little bit suspicious because they can't relate. So maybe it's made them paranoid about who you're talking to, like they're trying to find out or they're looking through your friends list to figure out if you might be dating anyone. I think they definitely sense that you've pulled back your energy, and I think you give them very little in the way of attention in their direction. Maybe at one point you used to watch their social media stories all the time and now you don't because maybe you're not on social media as much, you're busy doing other things, but they assume it's because maybe you're getting attention elsewhere. So now they're like, why isn't Pal One looking at me anymore? Like, what could that mean? So yes, I think they are intending to come back. Do I think it's for the right reasons? I honestly don't know. I think this person's feelings are very real to them in the sense of like something has triggered them into genuinely wanting to pursue you. But I don't know whether this reaction is part of that same pattern that they've been repeating. As in, this could be a case of them wanting what they can't have. Like, if they sense that you're moving on, it's easier for them to tell themselves they're 100% dedicated to you, that they'd give you everything, because they don't actually have to live up to that expectation. Like, if you're dating someone else, as one example, they can pursue you and frame it as like this romantic battle to win your affection, because if it doesn't work out, it's due to this external obstacle rather than a failure on their part. But if you did give them a chance and they had you all to themselves, it might be likely that they'd find themselves unable to handle this again. They might be more comfortable with connections that are always just a little bit out of reach for whatever reason. On the other hand, we did see that they potentially had started on some kind of journey of introspection due to this connection, so it is possible that they are truly doing the work. But as we know, that work doesn't always happen overnight. So just because they're doing the work, it doesn't mean that they're ready. They could need to be on their own for a while longer and work through these things independently of anyone else. So what I do want to say, pal one, is don't let this person undo some of the work that you've done in terms of yourself and your self-development. Don't feel like you have to make adaptations and make room for them to be in your life if that's going to put you in an uncomfortable situation, or if it's not going to be good for you. There's no obligation for you to be friendly or interact with this person if that's not in your best interest. And if you feel like you found someone else who is truly good for you, then don't allow this person who ghosted you to make you feel like you're making a mistake for choosing someone else over them, if that does apply. It's like before when we got justice showing up. You're not unkind. This person had a chance, but if they fumbled, you're not obligated to give them a second chance. They made their bed and they have to lie in it. Not to be cruel, but maybe you were one of their life lessons. Maybe you were a part of their life lessons. Maybe you were there to teach them something. It's obviously going to depend on so many things, so trust your own intuition, but that message is for those of you who have met someone new and you didn't even think about this past person until they tried to pop up, and maybe it's got you kind of juggling your feelings with that Two of Pentacles or thinking like, what if? I think this is telling you like there's no guarantee that things will be different if you and this person reconnected. Don't fall in love with the idea of someone. If you're making a decision about who to be with, obviously consider your feelings, but go with the person who has shown you consistency and who has shown you that they value you through their behavior and actions. Don't just go with the person who is telling you what you want to hear. That is something that I'm very much getting. So now we are just going to finish this reading with a little bit of closing guidance from the Soul Truth Oracle. So let's have a look at what we pulled for you, Pal 1. Okay, so we have the card, What If It Was Easy? And I'm going to read out what's on the back for you. Feel free to pause the video if you would like to look yourself. But this says it doesn't have to be hard. Call in the universe, the stars, the angels, and all their powers. Find the solution. Would you take the next step if it were easy? It's time to expect ease. Call in grace and receive guidance. You are supported. Today's soul action. List 10 possible ideals for your soul's current calling. Lean into ease. It's here. You just have to say yes to it. Yeah, I mean, this definitely makes me think that some of you could be feeling conflicted when it comes to this person, especially if they try to reconnect with you and you're kind of swept away by some of the things they're saying. And I think what this Soul Truth Oracle deck is trying to tell us, I think what Spirit is trying to tell us, is sometimes the right solution is the most simple one. Because some of you could be juggling all these different feelings when it comes to this person, when maybe what you actually need to do is break it down and just focus on the basics. And that's not to invalidate your feelings. They are important, and our human experiences are complex. There's nuance to this. I understand that no decision is simple, especially when it comes to our relationships and people who will have this big impact in our lives. But some of you, it could feel like maybe when this person comes back in, you're battling between your head and your heart. Like if, for example, you're getting to know a brand new person and you see potential with them, there are feelings, but it's not official maybe. Like maybe you're just seeing how it goes. Maybe when this person who ghosted you comes back in, promising the world and making out like everything will be easy breezy and they definitely know what they want and things like that, it complicates things for you because maybe then you're kind of like, well, I do have history with this person. It might be easier to slip back into a connection with them because I know them better than this new person. And what if the new person hurts me and I make the wrong choice and I've lost out on this person who ghosted me? Or if you're not dating anyone new and you're just focused on your work and on your own hobbies, you could be like, am I doing the right thing, shutting this person down and focusing on me? Because what if I say no now and then I end up with someone else or I end up alone? And I think this is saying to not make any decision out of fear or out of a lack mentality. And instead try and look at things from a more objective perspective. And I know when it comes to our relationships, we can't be objective. But I think sometimes a way to look at it a little bit more objectively is to focus less on the potential outcomes, but more on what is happening in your reality. So this could be making notes of the facts about this connection that are less focused on your emotions and more centered around what is actually going on. Because it's very easy to get wrapped up in the idea of what if, and if this person comes back trying to sweep you off your feet and they're saying all the right things, it would be very easy to get caught up in that because you're like, what they're saying is making me feel really good. It's what I used to wish they'd say back when they were being really distant with me. But maybe the objective reality, if you're, as one example, deciding between two people, a reality of that situation, if you actually wrote it down, and I know that sounds weird, but like if you actually wrote it down, you could write 2 sentences and it could be like, this person who ghosted me cancelled 7 dates last minute, versus this new person has arranged 3 dates with me and has shown up all 3 times. Or if this is not a decision involving another person, but it's about whether or not to give this person a chance, this could be you writing, when I was with this person, I observed that my fight or flight response was frequently activated, or I observed that my blood pressure was higher than usual, versus since I have been on my own, my blood pressure has been considerably lower. It's about looking at the objective facts and thinking, if a friend presented me with this very same information, what would I encourage that friend to do? What would be the obvious choice based on this information? I think this is saying that there will be an obvious choice here, and it's not up to me to tell you what that is. But if you're overthinking or you're hesitant to make a decision, I think this is saying things can be easier. And also, it's giving you permission to make that decision. You're not obligated to be with anyone. If you decide to give this person another chance, that's your right. If you decide to cut them off entirely and pursue someone or something else, that is also your right, and you don't need to feel bad about that or second guess yourself. You deserve to do what's best for you, and you deserve happiness, is very much something I'm getting power on. So that is what I am getting for the tarot portion of your reading. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading today. If you did like the reading, please like the video. Please comment and let me know what resonated if you get a chance, or if you don't feel comfortable letting me know what resonated, just let me know which pal you picked. That would all mean the absolute world to me. It just helps me and this channel so much. Oh, if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. I am slowly trying to make my way to 1,000 subs, so it would mean a lot to me if you were able to do that. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one, Pal One. Hi, Pal 2 Collective. If you chose the Cute Ghost Tarot and the Ghost with a Beer sticker, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. In today's reading, we are asking, why did they ghost, and are they coming back to life, and more specifically, your life? We're looking at who this person is and the overarching connection, their thoughts and feelings towards you, your thoughts and feelings towards them. We're looking into why specifically they ghosted, and we're also going to be asking what their next actions are in terms of this connection. Will they be coming back from the dead, or are they staying a ghost? So this reading is about that person in your life who just straight up vanished. They disappeared into thin air, they got distant, they stopped communicating. We are spilling the tea on that person. It could be a situation from your past or a situation you've been through very recently. The reading is intended to be timeless, so whenever you watch it is the right time. For a lot of you, this will be romantic in nature, but it certainly doesn't have to be. This could also be about a connection with a platonic person who for some reason pulled back their energy and you're not really sure why. I would recommend checking out the introduction if you would like a full breakdown of what this reading will entail. I go through absolutely everything there. What I do want to reiterate just briefly is that if you feel like any part of this reading is likely to be more harmful to you than helpful, please prioritize your own emotional health and give this one a miss. These readings are intended to provide clarity, not to confuse you further. So if we happen to get messages regarding a particular person or a situation that you are done with, that just means you are on a different stage of the timeline as another person who chose the same pile as you. Always just take what's for you and leave the rest for somebody else. With all of that said, I really hope you enjoy this reading today. I hope it provides some clarity, and without hesitation, let's have a look at the oracle cards we pulled for you. I'm actually going to pop the tarot cards to one side for now so we can focus on these oracle cards in front of us here. So for the oracle portion, we're going to be looking at the overarching energy of this connection, and that might give you some clues as to who this person is. Okay, pile 2. We have got sensual chemistry. I don't know whether I'm allowed to say the actual word, but that is the card. Sensual chemistry. We have got passion, okay, and we have got conceal. What in the forbidden love is this, pile 2? Is this some kind of forbidden connection? Because there's a lot of intense chemistry and tension here, but with this conceal card, it's making me think that there's something about this that has to stay hidden, or it has to stay a secret. There's very much this sense of unfinished business here. There's things you wanted to explore with this person that haven't been explored. So I'm seeing a few different scenarios here, but I'm going to give examples of what this could be. So for some of you, it could be that a mutual attraction developed between you and this person. Both parties felt it, but there was some conflict because if one or both parties were to act on this, it would be wrong. Now, when I mentioned forbidden love, this does not have to relate to infidelity or anything like that. For some of you, it might be that you or this person or both of you were in another relationship and you were talking, and then feelings developed, or there was physical chemistry. So then someone had to pull back or create distance because it would be wrong of them to act on this whilst they were in a connection. But equally, it could just feel forbidden in the sense that maybe the two of you considered yourself platonic friends and it would be wrong to take it further, or that's how somebody feels here. Or, maybe this is a colleague or someone with a different status to you at work, and it would be frowned upon to have some kind of relationship. So, someone stopped speaking as regularly because the feelings were becoming too much to handle. They felt overwhelming, but they had to keep these feelings hidden. So, maybe in turn that led to one person thinking, this person just doesn't like me, or they're just not that into me, when that couldn't be further from the truth. If anything, it's like this person felt as though they were getting too invested, but maybe they know that for whatever reason, this just couldn't become a thing. So they thought it would be best to just pull back because being with you could only ever be a fantasy. So every time they talk to you, maybe it's a reminder that they can't really have you in that kind of way. For some of you, this is based more on a feeling, like you have never expressed this to each other directly. And for others of you, this is more hidden in the sense that you know how you feel about each other, but this can't be out in the open for whatever reason. So you know, but other people don't know. It could be one or the other. For some of you, where this has never been talked about openly between the two of you, I feel like on a sort of telepathic level, both of you have an awareness of what this is or what it was, but you didn't acknowledge it, and maybe that was for a deliberate reason. So, just one example, if you were both connected to other people at the time you were talking, this could be to do with somebody feeling like they're doing the right thing by keeping their distance, because you might not have done anything wrong in the sense that you might not have said anything inappropriate, but it still might have felt wrong because this attraction was so strong. So maybe it felt as though being in this person's proximity felt like a betrayal to whichever relationship you were in at that time. And that's hard when it's unspoken like that because you don't want it to develop into emotional affair territory, but at the same time, maybe there was a sense of, well, what's the problem? Like, we're just talking, it's totally platonic, nobody said anything inappropriate. But maybe that's kind of what you were trying to convince yourselves. You were like, oh, well, we can just be friends, but you knew that there was more to it or something along those lines. And it's difficult to come out and just say, hey, I'm starting to get these feelings for you, and I'm aware that they probably shouldn't be there because of this other situation that I'm in. And the more I talk to you, the more I feel this, and I know that it's wrong. So I think we should give each other a bit of space or maybe not be as friendly. Someone might not want to say that if they're not sure the other person feels the same. So sometimes it's just easier to create distance or to ghost. And it feels like maybe that's what this person has done here. Maybe someone was like, if I just create distance and I don't acknowledge these feelings, maybe the feelings will go away. For some of you, where feelings had been expressed, but this had to be kept on the down low for whatever other reason, it could be that you and this person acknowledge that you have a lot of physical chemistry, but this can't happen because you or this person or both of you are tied to something else. Now, this does not have to be another person. For some of you, it could be, like, as one example, maybe when you guys were connecting and you felt these feelings, this person was single or separated, but they felt like they had to go back to someone. Maybe they want to sort of keep a family together or something like that. So they're trying to ignore these feelings, the feelings that developed whilst they were separated, let's say. For others of you, it could be a work situation, like this can't happen because employees at this company can't date, or maybe they're leaving the country at the end of the year for a job or something like that. It's just something that would get in the way. For some of you, it could be something to do with culture or tradition, if you guys share different beliefs or if your families wouldn't approve. It could be religious beliefs or to do with sexuality and people not being supportive of that. It's like you've had to decide to cut ties before the feelings got too strong, because there's some reason why the two of you are saying like this can't work, or one person is saying this can't work, or you can't go too far with it. I'm hearing the phrase like somebody doesn't want this to go too far. For some of you, it could be that you and this person have shared an intimate encounter, but there's this sense of this can't happen again, or we can't tell anyone about this, or maybe something happened but it didn't go too far in that way. So now there's all this tension, but you can't really act on it, or you can't take it to completion or something like that. It doesn't even have to be forbidden, though, in any kind of super dramatic sense. It could just be like this will be frowned upon within your friendship circle. Like maybe people would fall out with you guys if you were to make this public. For example, this could be, it doesn't have to be this example, but let's just say like this is your ex's best friend or something messy like that. It's like technically you're not doing anything wrong, but you know that it would be weird for your social circles or they wouldn't approve. I mean, I guess it depends on the situation and who the ex is and who ended what and things like that, of whether you would think that's wrong or not. But it's basically this feeling of like, oh, these feelings aren't supposed to be here, but I can't help but feel this way. And if it is that situation of like the ex's best friend or something like that, one example is like maybe they started talking to you at first to see how you were after the breakup, but then it started developing into something more the closer you guys got. And then this person was like, oh shit, what am I doing? I know this can't be anything, so I need to shut this down before I get myself into trouble. It doesn't have to be that exact thing, like we've said, but it's something along those lines. It could be something a little bit messy or complicated in that way, like there's other people involved or other things involved that are getting in the way. Maybe this is something that happened, like a moment you guys had when there was drinking or socializing involved, with you choosing the ghost with the beer sticker. It could have happened when somebody was out drinking and then maybe the next day it was like, we can't talk about this, or there was some element of let's just not acknowledge this, but the feelings still lingered. If you were intimate, it could be that you're both still thinking about experiencing that again, but you know you can't, and that's making you fantasize about it more. Or if this is just about a touch that lingered or a hug that lasted slightly longer than expected, and both of you are fixated on the way your bodies fit together and you're ruminating on what else could be explored physically, it's like there's all this potential, there's all this passion, but there's also frustration because you know that there's just something stopping you guys from being together in that kind of way and experiencing everything in a full, wholesome way. And it's almost like because you haven't had it or because you haven't been able to explore it fully, that's even more annoying because you know that it would be absolute fireworks. Or if you have done something physically with this person, maybe it was the best both of you have ever had, and knowing that you might not get that again is pretty difficult to deal with. I think there's no ignoring the spark here, there's no ignoring the butterflies, that is for sure. But maybe this person distanced as a way to pretend this wasn't happening or to shut down their feelings or act like whatever kind of connection you shared didn't mean anything, but I definitely think they are still thinking about it. It just feels like you and this person didn't get to do everything together that you wanted, because it got shut down before it got started, or someone wasn't willing to admit their feelings, or it just couldn't get off the ground, or something got in the way. It could be a number of things, but I definitely think this person hasn't forgotten about you. It could be that they're still hiding what they feel, but maybe, there's still some way that they have of kind of keeping tabs on you, but maybe this is something that they keep hidden. But that is what I am getting for the oracle portion of your reading, pal too. I really, really hope you are enjoying the reading so far. We are going to get started with the tarot, so please bear with me and we'll look at what we pulled for you. I'll see you at the tarot portion of your reading, pal too. Hi, pal two collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the first 4 cards we pulled for you. So we're going to be looking at this person's energy. We're going to be looking at how they're feeling towards you and this connection. Okay, so I'm going to pop this sticker to one side for now, and we're going to look at the first 4. So we have got the Knight of Coins, we've got the 8 of Cups, we've got the 9 of Blades, which is 9 of Swords, and we've got the Devil. Okay. Oh, okay. Pal 2. So they feel like they had to walk away from this even though they didn't want to. They felt like there was no choice. But it actually took them a lot of emotional strength to do that, particularly with this 8 of Cups and with this Devil. It's felt like it's taken everything in them not to reach out to you or to not respond to you, because it's as though you're their weakness. But they're bound to something else, and so they feel like they can't pursue you without falling out of alignment with themselves. They feel as though giving into this connection would make them a bad person or a weak person, but they also can't continue to speak to you or be friends knowing that these deeper feelings are there, because then they would also be showing up inauthentically, or they'd know that deep down it's like they'd be trying to stay connected to you with an ulterior motive. And when I say ulterior motive, I don't mean something evil or vindictive. What I mean is They can no longer pretend that the two of you are just friends, as one example, or they can no longer pretend that they're just checking in to see how you are. It's like because they are now conscious of these feelings, they can't undo that knowing and they can't live in a delusion about it because they know that there's a connection here, they know there's physical tension, and so they can't deny it to themselves any longer. But they also feel so powerless and so hopeless with this because if they were to follow those feelings, they think that it would make them become everything they've told themselves they wouldn't be. That's something I'm getting. They know that something kind of started here and that it didn't get finished, but with this Knight of Pentacles, it's like there's this element of them wanting to get back on track or to stay focused, and they feel like this pull they have to you has somehow gotten them off track. They're fearful of being a Knight of Pentacles in reverse, is something that I'm getting. Some of it could be like they don't want to be a deadbeat, for one example. So, if let's say they are a parent, it doesn't have to be this example exactly, but maybe they decide to return to the mother or father of their child because otherwise they wouldn't get to see their child. So, they accept a situation that they're not truly happy with because their biggest fear is being like a deadbeat parent or something. Maybe if their parents split and one of their parents was a deadbeat or they never got to see them, they're scared of that happening with their own children. So even if they know like the romance has gone in this relationship, they're kind of saying to themselves, well, I made a commitment to this person, I'm going to have to stick to it no matter what the cost is to my emotional health. Some of them could genuinely feel like ghosting was the best or most moral thing to do given the circumstances. And I'm not saying that's the truth of the situation, this is just how this person is looking at it. Like some of them feel like they would be being selfish if they told you about these feelings. Maybe some of them just battle serious self-worth issues and they don't feel like they'll ever be good enough for you. It could be a lot to do with their own mental health. They're bonded to a particular belief about themselves or this idea that they're not worthy. So they could have felt like they didn't want to put that pressure on you or make you feel like you had to make a choice here. It's like they tried to take that choice away so you didn't have to be the one to make it. It feels like this is a person who is usually very grounded and who approaches things very practically. And when they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it. They're dedicated, they're persistent. And some of them can be quite stubborn too. They could be quite fixed in their mentality. So when they say, I feel like I need to distance myself from pal 2 because it's the right thing to do so that I can focus on this, it's like they're sticking to that even if it's making them feel awful on the inside. On their end, it's because they truly believe it's for the best. But at the same time, they are deeply unhappy with their current situation. They're feeling anxious about where they have ended up. Some of them are feeling guilty about what went down between the two of you. They feel like it makes them a bad person. Maybe some of them are worried about this connection. Maybe some of them are worried that this connection is or would be the source of gossip or that there would be speculation or rumours and they're struggling to cope with that aspect. Maybe they're feeling guilty or remorseful over the fact they haven't been able to make this work or they've missed the boat or they wish they had dealt with things in a different way. I think they've been struggling to sleep. There have been sleepless nights here thinking about this. Whatever's going on for them, it's like they're at their breaking point. But they could be presenting this very stoic demeanour outwardly. Like with this Knight of Pentacles, it's kind of saying like, no, I'm good, everything's good. But on the inside, they're like, I don't want this. But they don't like how this has been making them feel because this connection with you feels like, I want to say, a complete spanner in the works. Like they weren't expecting this. And what I mean by that is like you make them feel out of control and they're not used to that feeling. I keep hearing the word temptress, so they could feel frustrated by the fact that they're so tempted by you. I think this is a person who has found it very easy to be loyal to whatever or whoever they feel like they should be loyal to in the past because this isn't a person who is usually moved by physical beauty or attractiveness. Like they could have encountered many attractive people throughout their life who haven't had an impact on them the way that you do. So with most people, it feels like they're able to make decisions logically and use their head, and it's easy for them to maintain this level head. But with you kind of throw them off balance, you throw them off kilter a little bit. Maybe this person didn't really experience a lot of physical attraction until they encountered you. It could be like you've reignited something within them that they didn't know was there. Or, maybe if this person is like, as one example, demisexual, that doesn't have to apply. But maybe this is someone who just really thought like they weren't really interested in the more lustful or physical aspects until they met you and that passion for the physical resurfaced in some way. So they actually wanted to explore that side of things and maybe that scared them because it made them feel like, I'm not in control anymore, or I can't think rationally when I'm feeling this way. I think they feel like they're obsessed with you, pal, too, and maybe it's an addiction checking up on you or thinking about you, fantasizing about you. Whether or not you have been intimate with them or not, that's definitely something they think about. Whether it's thinking of past memories or imagining things that they might do with you stay on their mind in that way. They could also just be feeling really, really guilty that they're even feeling this way in the first place. They maybe think that having these feelings makes them a bad person and they're upset with themselves for being in this position or putting you in a difficult position, or maybe both, whichever applies to your situation. Well, let's have a look at how you're feeling towards this person and towards this connection, pal two. Okay, so we have got the Nine of Cups reversed. We have got the Seven of Wands reversed. We've got the King of Swords, and we've got the Seven of Cups. Okay, so for some of you, I'm hearing it's like you know it's wrong, but you can't help it. And that won't apply for everyone. So if that's not for you, don't get offended. This can mean different things for different people. But the Nine of Cups can refer to some kind of self hatred or disappointment when it's showing up in reverse like this. So there could be some element here of you being like, why do I have to feel this way? And it could be that you're mad at yourself because you know this would present some kind of ethical dilemma to be with this person. So you're like, why did I have to put myself in a situation where I felt these feelings? But for others of you, it could just be that you're disappointed that you allowed yourself to get carried away dreaming about what could be, when deep down you knew that this couldn't become a thing that was out in the open. For some of you, talking to this person was like the bright point in your day, and not having this has left you feeling this lack of fulfillment. Some of you feel like if anyone found out about this connection or how you've truly been thinking and feeling, it would be a scandal or you would somehow lose your moral authority. Like, you are always aware that if anyone read your mind or they could see some of the fantasies you've been having when it comes to this situation, they would maybe be a little bit disappointed in you. So this could apply if you are connected to someone and you're having feelings about someone else. It's like if they ever found out that I felt this way, they would be so disappointed. They'd realize I'm not the person they thought I was. Or if it's not that, this could apply if this is that example of like your ex's best friend. Maybe there's a worry of, if any of this friendship group knew that I was fantasizing about this person, they'd disown me. So it can't happen. Some of you are so glad that people can't see what you've been thinking when it comes to this situation. You're like, phew, because if people knew, I would be done. For some of you, though, it does feel like you can indulge in some of these fantasies a little bit too much. Some of you could fall into the trap of like maladaptive daydreaming, thinking about the possibilities of what could be and maybe neglecting your real life scenarios. Obviously, that won't apply to everyone, but there's some element here of like dichotomy, I want to say, because on the one hand, we have this King of Swords showing up, and that often indicates self-discipline and head over heart, right? So on the surface, it could be that you're acting in a way where you're doing everything right. So you've detached from this person in the physical, you try to keep communication with them to a minimum, or you don't communicate at all. Maybe you're like, I'm not going to talk to them because I know if I do, I'm just going to be more tempted. So at face value, you might be acting like they don't exist or that their presence doesn't affect you in any way. You're not actively doing anything that would compromise your morals, but behind the scenes, it could be that you're still having a lot of fantasies about the what ifs. So it's more to do with what's going on in your mind, or maybe your dreams or something, which I know we can't always control our dreams. Like, that's not your fault if you're dreaming about some of these things, or if you've had a dream about them where the two of you were being physical or something like that. Obviously, that's not your fault. But I do feel like often we dream about things that we are focusing on a lot in our material world. So for some of you, if you do feel like you are focusing on this a little bit too much, that might just apply to a couple of you, but that is a message. Like, some of it does feel like you are actively engaging in these fantasies. Sometimes you let your mind get carried away with you and you drift off. And even sometimes when you realize like, oh, I've got a little bit carried away with myself, it's like you still take that time to indulge in it anyway when you know that you shouldn't, or something like that. So this could be like in the 3D, you're very much focused on the real things in your life. It's not like you're chasing this person, you're not reaching out to them or whatever. But then at the end of the day, when you're alone, or even if you're next to someone else, maybe you're replaying conversations with this person or reminiscing on moments with them. And you kind of know that you shouldn't, but it's this little world you like to go into and kind of indulge in because it gives you hope of like, I know we can't be together right now, but what if we could in the future? The possibility of you having future opportunities with this person kind of gives you something to hope for. And I don't want to say that this is your imagination. Sometimes that's what the Seven of Cups can mean. But for you, I don't think this is in your head. I think you and this person do have something. There's a mutual attraction. I don't think this is unrequited. But what I do think, because maybe some of you've not yet had chance to experience everything you wanted to experience with this person, it's like your mind has found a way to cope with the lack of closure by filling in the blanks and maybe getting carried away with some of the possibilities of what this could be. And if you and this person could have a connection in the future, but it just can't happen right now for whatever reason, then of course it's fine to have hope. But I think in certain moments, allowing yourself to indulge in these daydreams too much might be making you more unhappy because what's in your head isn't matching the reality of that situation, or it feels very out of reach right now. So when you're faced with that reality of this is what I wish for, but it can't happen with this person, or this is so good in my head, but this isn't my real life scenario, it's like the dream is shattered and it leaves you with this thought of what if I never get to experience that with this person because of these circumstances that are getting in the way? And that's really difficult when reality hits you. It can be quite hard to cope with. For some of you, you could feel like this person's ghosting really shattered the illusion of what you were pretending this connection was. And that can mean different things depending on your circumstance. But this could be like you kind of knew deep down this was more than what either of you were letting on. But maybe because you didn't want communication to end, you were sort of saying to yourself, well, it's okay, we can just be friends, or we can just be colleagues, we can keep this professional, we can keep it friendly. But this person pulling back just solidifies that it was never just friends or just this. There was something more going on, but it's like you maybe, I don't want to say you wanted to remain ignorant to this, but I think similarly to this person who did ghost, you felt like if you were to admit this even to yourself, it would make you a bad person. So maybe to some extent you were trying to like delude yourself into saying this is just a friend or this is just a physical connection, no emotions, whatever, because you were trying to keep it cool, you were trying to keep it chill, you were trying to make it not a thing, because if it became a thing, that would lead to devastation or something being shattered. It could lead to ruining this relationship or other relationships in your life or other opportunities in your life if it's not about someone else in particular. And so you tried to act like it was less than what it was. But for now, it feels like with this King of Swords, you would actually be open to an honest conversation with this person if one was presented. Maybe you felt as though so much time was wasted not being able to express yourselves fully, that if you were presented with an opportunity to be honest, you would be prepared to get everything out in the open, you'd reveal some kind of truth. Okay, so let's have a look at why this person ghosted pile 2. Let's have a look at the next 4 cards. So we have got the World reversed. It's the Creator in this deck, but I think it's actually the World. So we've got the World reversed, the 4 of Pentacles, the King of Wands reversed, and the 5 of Swords reversed. So with this World in reverse, it's like they ghosted you because they weren't able to get what they wanted with you. And I don't mean that in the way of like they just wanted to take what they wanted from you and then dip out. It's not that. It's that there's this sense of I'll never be able to get everything I want with pile 2, or there's never going to be closure with this because neither of us are ever going to be able to fully express how we feel, or we won't be able to discuss this connection openly. It's sort of like reality hit them, that they maybe wouldn't be able to act on these impulses, or they wouldn't be able to finish what they started. And so there's this need to pull back because, again, they didn't want whatever this had become or was becoming to be a burden to anyone. They very much know that there is unfinished business here, but they've had to leave something open-ended. With this 4 of Pentacles, they've had to separate themselves, they've had to create boundaries. I'm hearing before this went too far. I keep hearing before this goes too far or before it went too far. They've had to keep something to themselves, and this has left them with a lot of guilt. Maybe they've kept how they truly feel about you to themselves, or they've had to keep what's happened between you to themselves, and they felt as though holding on to all that was such a burden that they felt the need to remove themselves from the situation entirely, hoping that that would make the feelings they're experiencing go away. This 4 of Pentacles could also indicate that their deep-seated issues have gotten in the way of this. So for example, if one of the obstacles is more of an internal thing, like a negative belief that they have about themselves, let's say, something to do with their own mental health issues rather than some kind of external force, it could be that they were holding on too tightly to that belief, they couldn't let it go. And so this could never be a thing because they were holding on to that one idea and it was stopping them from making the moves they wanted to make. It could be this thing of them feeling like they're a bad person for giving in to their feelings, or them feeling like they always have to be in control of something here. This example, by the way, might only apply for just one person, but I guess this could be a lot of internalized shame over something like their sexuality or gender identity, for example. If they can never be open about who they truly are in that way, it could be that they decided they'd rather sort of surrender and go down the path of least resistance and do the easiest thing, as in try not to acknowledge that they have these feelings, keep trying to stick to the version of themselves they've told everyone they are, because maybe they think it would make them wrong to be different. This could be a belief instilled by them by family members. Maybe some of them would be ostracized or disowned if this is like a sexuality thing, or if it's being with somebody from a different background, like a different religious tradition or something like that, or a different culture or a different ethnicity. They feel like this would be frowned upon by their immediate circle. It could just be like their religion or culture is important to them, and they think that if they were to pursue someone who isn't part of that culture, they'd be doing something wrong, or they'd be betraying their loyalty to that culture or something like that. It could be some kind of warped belief about them doing the right thing being the reason for ghosting here, because they think that this can't progress, it can't go any further, they have to stop it before it gets started or before it goes too far. It could be that they are fearful of losing themselves, or they're fearful of giving into emotions, because it does seem like they pride themselves on being this disciplined person who has a lot of self-control, and I think they're terrified that pursuing this would make them into like a Knight of Wands reversed. It does seem like this person is extremely adverse to taking risks, and I think they're terrified that pursuing this would make them into someone who is reckless and someone who takes a lot of risks. It does seem like this person is extremely adverse to taking risks generally, and you are a person who presented them with a conflict in that encountering you made them want to risk it all. But in the end, they decided it was going to be too much of a risk, they just couldn't do it, and so they pulled back. Some of them feel like they'd have to make major sacrifices or overcome huge obstacles for this to be out in the open. Maybe some of them were scared of going for this and it not working out and the potential of them feeling humiliated. Some of them might feel ashamed or regretful that they started developing these feelings, and so they thought that the best thing was to cut ties or limit communication. They didn't know how else to deal with this. Some of them felt like they were committing some kind of a crime every time they interacted with you, because they felt this intense attraction, but they were telling themselves, no, it's wrong, I can't feel this way. And this doesn't have to be something that is rooted in objective reality, but this is more about how they were feeling. So, for example, if feelings weren't expressed here, maybe this person ghosted because they thought that this was unrequited. They were like, I'm meant to be Pal2's friend, but I'm having all these feelings for them. I feel really guilty about that. Maybe we should just stop speaking. Or Pal2 thinks I'm messaging them because of a work thing, but really it's just because I want to speak to them and I feel like I'm being shady for using the excuse of work to talk to them. It could be something that in theory is fairly innocent, but they feel a lot of shame over it for some reason, even though you would never judge them for whatever it is. And in most instances, I think that the attraction is very much mutual. It's like they're judging themselves very harshly for this. And the more they communicated, the worse they felt, because they knew these emotions were bubbling up, but that it would be a bad thing for them to act on them. For some of them, it could be that they were connected to someone else, even if they were like separated, and they felt like the right thing to do was cut contact with you and focus on this other person who needed them. Maybe they felt like, if I end this relationship and I go after Pal2, I'll be seen as a scumbag. I want to say a scumbag. I don't know why. People will judge me. People will talk about it. It could become a scandal. I feel like the best course of action is just sticking with what I know or going back to someone else to keep a family together. It's the right thing to do. But I don't think this choice has left them feeling very good, to be quite honest. If it's that example of being that person who makes the decision to separate from someone, it's like they don't want to be held accountable for splitting a family up. They don't want to have to make that decision. Or I guess the same could apply if this is just frowned upon in a certain social circle for whatever reason. They don't want to be held accountable by that group, whether it's friends or a family member or it's a work situation. There's something about they didn't want to take things too far or take too much of a risk here in case something came back on them and they had to answer for something they said or did. I think they decided they had to do the right thing instead. I think they decided they had to opt for just not communicating at all, or communicating in a bit more of a distant way, almost because they didn't trust what they'd say or do when it came to you. If we go back to them feeling like you somehow make them lose control, maybe they thought it's best just to stay away completely, disappear back into the shadows, so they don't end up saying or doing something that they're going to regret. So let's have a look at this person's next actions. Are they going to be coming back to life? Specifically, are they going to be coming back to your life? Okay, so we have got the Four of Wands. We've got the 10 of Wands. we've got the Four of Cups, and we've got the Ace of Cups. Well, pile two, I don't know if they're going to be reaching out to you directly, but I think you are going to be bumping into each other at some point. But why do I feel like there's this sense of you guys maybe avoiding each other or ignoring each other at first? It feels like you're staying away from each other because on this person's side, with this Four of Cups particularly, there's this feeling of frustration and them looking at you as a missed opportunity. And I don't know, I'm feeling like this is at a social event or celebration with this Four of Wands. And with the Ace of Cups too, to be honest, because that can also be about celebrations and socializing. If you know that there's absolutely no way that you would be bumping into this person in person, take this to mean like avoiding each other in maybe an online context, like refusing to look at each other's stories or something like that. Just apply it in whichever way it resonates to your situation. But I'm getting for a lot of you, if you guys somehow share a community, whether it's work or a similar friendship circle or families or just an online community, maybe it's like you're both obligated to attend this function or you're both just there at the same time. Like, even if we give the example of an online community, maybe you're both in the same live stream or something like that and you're both aware of each other just based on usernames. Obviously, I know it's a bit of an out there example, it might not be that, but I just want to also give an example for those of you where you know that you couldn't bump into this person. But for most of you, I get the sense that this is a physical function, like a celebration of some kind, and both of you know the other is going to be there, and maybe it's the first time you'll be seeing each other since some kind of awkwardness went down or something wasn't expressed. But there's no reasonable excuse for you not to go, maybe, because whatever went down between you and this person, you haven't been able to tell anyone about. So maybe you know there's going to be a bit of a weird vibe. You're expecting that, or maybe dreading being in an awkward situation with them. And when you get there, it's like I'm getting this sense of you're both keeping your distance or trying not to make eye contact, but it definitely feels as though this person will be noticing you. And it feels like this is going to happen. For this person, they're going to be at a point where they are very bored with their life. Maybe they're just going with the motions. I don't think they're really having a good time at this event, if I'm honest. And it does seem like it's going to be what should be like a fun event. It seems like this is going to be a celebration, so something like a birthday or wedding party or a works party. It doesn't seem like this is an event where people would be typically sad, like a funeral or something. But it feels as though there's this sense of like everyone else is letting loose, but this person isn't really into the partying. They're just sat off in the corner, being a little bit moody or refusing drinks or not really talking to anyone. And maybe other people are approaching them like, what's wrong with you? But a lot of people around them are kind of oblivious because they don't really know what went down and they're just having a good time. Maybe they just think this person's having a bad day and they're like, whatever, I'm going to get more shots. But this person is over in their little corner sort of sulking and maybe looking at you and they're feeling remorseful. They regret something that happened or something that didn't happen. It feels like they're yearning for you. Maybe they're wishing they could get the courage to come and talk to you. They're fantasizing about a different timeline where things could have worked out. Yeah, it definitely feels like although this social event is going to be something fun, at least for most people attending, maybe it's not that fun for this person because this event happens at a time in their life when they're just feeling very overburdened with this Ten of Wands. It feels like they have too many responsibilities, they're stressed about other things, or they're only there out of obligation. I don't know why I'm getting this, but they might actually be burdened with the task of looking after whoever they attend the event with. Like maybe this person isn't drinking or they are the designated driver or something like that, and they end up being saddled with looking after an inebriated person. Or maybe if it's at an event where kids can attend but adults are also there and people are drinking, like maybe it's like they have to be the one who is sober and looking after the kids or something. And it just feels like your person is kind of annoyed by whatever's going on. I think they're not really in the present moment. They're quite distracted. So let's say if they are looking after kids or something like that, it could be that they just want to stay in their little corner being moody and like thinking about things, but then their kids keep coming up to them or someone's kids keep coming up to them, like trying to get them to play or trying to get them to interact. It doesn't even have to be kids. It could be like other adults saying to them like, oh, come and get a shot with us. And this person's very much giving like, leave me alone to everyone. And if it's this drunk person they're having to look after, they could be extra moody because maybe they didn't want to come to the event in the first place and now they're stuck dealing with this person. On your end, I think obviously you attend the event not knowing what to expect if you bump into this person. So I do think there's apprehension. But what I will say is that I think you're not letting this person's presence bother you as much. Or I think that's how it's going to appear at a surface level. Maybe you are going to be bothered about it internally, but externally you seem cool as a cucumber. You're very much like in your King of Swords energy. So maybe when you get there, it is a little bit awkward trying to avoid them, but maybe there's other people there that you want to speak to or catch up with, and that kind of distracts you in a way. So maybe you went in thinking you weren't going to have any fun, but you end up loosening up a little bit. Maybe you're keeping your distance from this person, but you're chatting to other people, or you're dancing or having a couple of drinks, and that kind of takes your focus off this person. But this person, it's like they're not making the effort to really talk to anyone. They're in their little corner, sort of like, I don't want to be here, but I have to be. And I feel like that's kind of intensifying their feelings of yearning for you, because they're not giving themselves anything else to do but look at you and sort of pine for you from afar. I don't know if you're going to be having a direct conversation with them at this event. I'm going to be honest, I do think that it could go either way. And I say that because we do have the Ace of Cups showing up here, and that can symbolize new beginnings, new romance. So, as one example, if one or both of you were connected to someone else at the time that you caught feelings for one another, but now you're single and there's no reason you can't be together, but the only problem is there's some lingering awkwardness because you've never spoken properly about this, or someone had to cut something off, this could be this person sort of getting over their ego and making a move towards an honest conversation with you, an expression of feelings. That could happen in a couple of instances here. I definitely feel like there is going to be awkwardness at first, but maybe as the day or night goes on, this person gets fed up of sitting in the corner on their own bullshit, and they do actually try to talk with you. I mean, either way, they're going to be looking at you all night, even if they're pretending they aren't. In other instances where you guys know that for whatever reason this still couldn't happen, and it could be to do with like who is around, like you guys can't be seen having a little private conversation together, or you know that nothing could happen, it does just feel like you're probably not going to talk directly, but encountering one another is still a big deal. So maybe if it's like the first time you've seen each other since whatever went down, maybe this person thought they'd be able to handle seeing you, like they'd feel over it, or they'd think, maybe my feelings were just my imagination. But it's like they see you and they're like, nope, the feelings are definitely still there. And you both might be feeling that way, but I think you're not going to be showing it if you do feel that way. Like I said, I think when you accept the invitation to this event, both of you are aware that the other is probably going to be there. I don't think this comes as a surprise to either of you, but it could be like this person has been daydreaming about what will happen or fantasizing about what they'd say if they bumped into you. Like they're thinking about all the things they'd want to say, but maybe when the time comes to take action, they just can't muster up the courage to go for it. Or maybe they're looking at you and thinking, Pal 2 is doing so well without me, maybe I should just stay in my lane or stay in my little corner, because it seems like that's where they are going to be for most of the night, and that's how you might be able to tell who this person is. If you don't know already, I think you'll probably know by this stage, but I guess it could be someone from your past. So that is what I'm getting for the tarot portion of your reading. Let's just finish the reading with some closing guidance from the Soul Truth Oracle. Let's have a look at what we pulled for you, Pal 2. So we have, what are the dominant emotions that run my life? And on the back, feel free to pause this, by the way, if you would like to have a look yourself. But this says, how do you fill your day? Stress or joy? Trust or anger? Anxiety or peace? We have only today, right now, the journey. No goal, no destination will bring us the feeling we seek. But when we begin filling every day with that which we value most, we will attract more of it. This is fulfillment. Today's soul action, lean into what you want to feel and adjust your life, your values, and your expectations to match your desires. What do you want to feel? Are you willing to let go of the belief that you have to achieve something to feel it? Okay, that is very interesting for this reading. So I actually think this is a message more for those of you who are still very much in your head about whatever went down here, and you're kind of stuck on the what ifs. And listen, it's totally understandable to yearn for closure when we feel like we haven't gotten that. And in this particular situation, it does very much feel like there is unfinished business. There are things that haven't been said. There are opportunities that haven't been explored. And it's like we were kind of saying earlier in the tarot reading, when our brains aren't given all the facts, we tend to get carried away with ourselves and sort of fill in the blanks. It is very easy to romanticize what we don't have, and it's easy to fall in love with potential or the idea of someone, but the idea of someone is very rarely going to match the reality. And that's not me saying there isn't a chance for this connection or you don't deserve for this to work out, because maybe at some point in the future, both of you might be in a place where you are able to make this work, or you don't have to keep it a secret and things can be explored. I'm not saying that that can't happen. If you want that and they want that, I'm sure there is a timeline where that is possible. But I think it's also important to work on being content in your present with what you have now, instead of focusing too much on the destination or what could be. And I know it's frustrating when you just want that one thing more than anything else in the world, and then some tarot reader is saying like, just focus on you, or just be content by yourself and trust in divine timing, and you're like, shut the fuck up, I just want to know if me and this person will be together and you're not telling me. And I never would, that's the thing, because I don't get to decide that. I will say that there's potential for it if that's something you want, but I think there is this overarching message that some of you need to know, that it is way more about the journey than the destination, and what you do now matters. The big steps and the small steps all matter. If a particular destination feels far away and you're saying to yourself, I need to get here, this is where I want to be, there's sun, there's sand, there's tropical beaches, this destination will be so much better than the rainy city I live in right now, you're not just going to wake up one day in your dream country if you've not actually taken any practical steps to get there. If you want to be somewhere else, you have to make moves. You're not going to get to a different location if you're stood still. If you want to move to your dream place, you have to be able to save up for that trip. You have to be able to book your flights and accommodation, pack your bags, get your passport ready. There's no point getting caught up in the fantasy of, I wish I was there right now, if you're not doing what you need to do to get there, is basically one of the messages. So I think this is saying continue making moves, continue working on yourself, because that's just as important as where you want to be. And you can't get to where you want to be without doing that. We can sometimes think to ourselves, things would be perfect if this happened, or if I just got the chance to be with this person, but there's every chance that that wouldn't be the case, because maybe you or this person or both of you needed this space to work through things independently. There's every chance it wouldn't have worked out if you'd got the opportunity to be together before you were ready, or when it was just the wrong time due to other factors. It's okay to hold out hope for where you want to be eventually, but also make sure that you're doing the work to get to where you want to be, and focus it less on a particular person, but more on the aspect of like, I want to be in a place within myself where I can accept a healthy and loving relationship. If it's with this person, great, but if not, great. Feel safe knowing that you're going to be happy either way. Like, if it's meant to happen, it will. And I know that's such like a cliche phrase that almost every tarot reader probably says, but I really am getting that message here. Like, the focus is on what you do now. Like, it's also okay to enjoy your present moment and not have to focus on that end goal all of the time. I think this is saying remember to enjoy your life, and if someone cannot give you what you need in a particular moment, don't get stuck on what could happen if they were ready, because if they're not, then they're not, and you should not have to put your life on hold for anyone. So date other people, travel the world, get your PhD, go after that dream career, and don't worry about, will it still work out with this person if I do XYZ? Because if something is meant for you, it will not pass you by. One thing I'm hearing is that life is happening right now, and it's important for you to make every moment count, pal, too, because some of you are worrying that you've missed an opportunity, while there's a ton of opportunities going on all around you that you're not paying attention to because you're so concerned about missing that one opportunity. There is so much more for you out there, and so many ways to enjoy life and live it to the full. Everything you could ever want is for you, and if it doesn't come in the form of this person, the love will be sent to you in a different way, but it will not pass you by. So that is what I'm getting for your tarot reading, pal, too. I really hope you enjoyed this reading today. If you did enjoy the reading, please don't forget to like the video. It'll take you literally 2 seconds, and it would make my absolute day as well if you could leave me a little comment and let me know what resonated, or just let me know which pal you picked if you do not feel comfortable saying what resonated personally. And if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. That is the best and easiest way to support me, and it is absolutely free. I am slowly making my way to 1,000 subscribers, so please help me achieve that goal if you like me. Well, not if you like me, but if you like the style of content, please do that. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to this. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to read for you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one, pal, too. Hi, Pal 3 Collective. If you chose the Chubby Bun Tarot and the Ghost on a Skateboard sticker, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. In today's reading, we are asking, why did they ghost, and are they coming back to life? More specifically, your life. We're looking at who this person is and the overarching connection. We're looking at their thoughts and feelings towards you, your thoughts and feelings towards them. We're looking into why specifically they ghosted, and we're also going to be asking what their next actions are in terms of this connection. Will they be coming back from the dead, or are they staying a ghost? So this reading is about that person in your life who just straight up vanished. They disappeared into thin air, they got distant, they stopped communicating. We are spilling the tea on that person. It could be a situation from your past or a situation you've been through very recently. This reading is intended to be timeless, so whenever you watch it is the right time. For a lot of you, this will be romantic in nature, but it certainly doesn't have to be. This could also be about a connection with a platonic person who for some reason pulled back their energy and you're not really sure why. I would recommend checking out the introduction if you would like a full breakdown of what the reading will entail. I go through absolutely everything there. What I do just want to reiterate briefly is that if you feel like any part of this reading is likely to be more harmful to you than helpful, please prioritise your own emotional health and give this one a miss. These readings are intended to provide clarity, not to confuse you further. So, if we happen to get messages regarding a particular person or situation that you are just done with, that just means you are on a different stage of the timeline as another person who chose the same pile as you. Always just take what's for you and leave the rest for somebody else. With all of that said, I really hope you enjoy this reading today. I hope it provides some clarity, and without hesitation, let's have a look at the oracle cards we pulled for you. I'm actually just going to pop your tarot cards to one side for now so we can focus on these oracle cards in front of us. And we're going to be looking at the overarching energy of this connection, which might give you some clues as to who this person is. Okay, so we have got red flag, great start, pile 3. We have flight, and we have burn. Okay, so the first thing I want to say as I'm looking at these cards is that a lot of you kind of knew what you were getting into when you met this person, okay? And if this is a person who ended up treating you unkindly or disrespectfully, I am in no way blaming you for whatever it is that went down here. If this person acted shitty towards you, that is absolutely on them, and I do not condone that behavior. So I'm only telling you this because you will know if it's for you, and if it's for you, you'll know that you've chosen the right pile. And I'm also not at all judging you because I feel like we've all had they're a red flag, but red is my favorite color moment. But for a lot of you, when you went into this situation, you kind of had this inkling that this person was bad news, and you did it anyway. It's like they were put in front of you. You were like, that human is a glaring red flag, but fuck it. And I say that with the utmost respect because at least you're self-aware and you're not stupid, pal 3. It felt like you could see through this person. If this is a person who plays games or is usually able to get one over on people, it's like you weren't falling for it. You knew what this situation was and you went into it anyway because you felt confident you could handle it. And it's because there was an intense chemistry and spark here with this burn card. I would be surprised if there hadn't been some kind of physical relationship here at the very least. It seems like you guys' chemistry is kind of off the charts here. And it could have been that that's what this situation was, like a friends with benefits or more casual thing. And maybe it's like you knew you and this person couldn't work long term because of your differences or due to life circumstances, but you wanted to experience this person in some way. So maybe you agreed for this to be a strictly physical or casual thing. For others of you, this was a more romantic thing, like a relationship or a situationship, but it's as though from the off, there was this sense that this probably isn't going to work out long term, but let's see how it goes anyway. So yeah, I'm sorry, pile 3, this could be the X pile or like at least X situationship pile. I think regardless of the context of this relationship, there was this sense that the two of you are too different or you want different things from life and that maybe it wouldn't last forever, even if you wanted it to in certain moments. Like even if you said, there's so many reasons why this probably won't work, but the chemistry or the feelings are strong here and I want to at least try. It's like that kind of vibe. There was maybe something in the back of your mind where you couldn't fully trust this person or you felt like they would hurt you, but it's like you both held a candle for each other and the flame was burning too brightly. You couldn't look away. You kind of like had to get closer to it. It's almost a sense of like you'd rather have tried and it not work out than not tried with this person at all. But maybe they said certain things that kind of made you have your guard up. Like this could be the kind of person who said, as one example, all my exes are crazy, or I've never had a relationship that lasted longer than 2 months. And maybe you were thinking, well, that's not good. Like maybe you're the problem. But you perhaps didn't express that because you did like this person to some extent and you did want to give them the benefit of the doubt, whatever the nature of your relationship. It's like if it was romantic, you could have gotten very caught up in the moment with them and you were having too much fun to really question the red flags, even if you were sort of aware of them in your peripheral. You didn't want to ruin things. You wanted to keep this relationship going or keep dating this person. So you maybe didn't raise certain concerns and you were just like, let's see how it goes. Or if it was a purely physical arrangement and you were content with that arrangement, you maybe didn't bring this stuff up because you felt like it was none of your business and you wanted to keep being physical with this person. So maybe you were like, it doesn't matter if they're saying they haven't had a long-lasting relationship because I'm not going to be in a relationship with them. I'm not here for that. So maybe it felt irrelevant to you at that time. Like something they said at the time felt like it wouldn't affect you. But since this person ghosted, since this breakdown in communication, it feels like you're now saying to yourself, I knew something was off, or I knew I should have listened to my intuition. I knew this was a red flag. Maybe you feel like you were warned, but you went for it anyway. And there's a part of you that wishes you would have listened to warnings here. This could be from your own intuition, but it could also be from friends or people who know of you or this person. For maybe just one or two of you here, if this was a relationship, it could be that at the time you and this person were kind of getting together, it could be that someone's ex reached out to you and warned you about this person and their behaviour. But because you wanted things to work, maybe you just put this down to a jealous ex interfering, or you wanted to believe this person when they said their exes are crazy. But there was maybe this niggling feeling in your gut telling you you needed to listen to that person, and you pushed it down, and now maybe you're realising that that person was telling the truth. That's not going to be for everyone, but I'm getting something along the lines of someone saying, like, oh, just be careful, like, just be careful with them. And you kind of being like, what does that mean? If it was this person's ex and the person who ghosted you told you all these horrible things about their ex, it could be that you took this more as a threat. Like, they're telling me to be careful and not go near their man or woman. They're warning me off. They're threatening me. But really, it was this person being genuine because they were like, listen, I've been there. I won't tell you what to do, but I'm just saying be careful. So yeah, I'm hearing that the chemistry was on fire, but then somebody ended up getting burnt here. Maybe it just felt like the flame went out when this person suddenly got distant or ghosted and you were left in like a dark room all of a sudden. Maybe it felt out of the blue. But with this flight card in particular, I keep hearing the phrase catch flights, not feelings. So this person could be very flighty, like they go from one thing to the next thing. They're easily distracted, or they struggle to commit. They could have struggled to maintain long-term relationships, or they're very fearful of getting too close to people. The imagery on this card specifically is making me think of Gemini energy. Like, this person has two sides to them. So Gemini could be a prominent placement in this person's chart, but that does not have to apply. It could just be this energy of them being dual natured, or presenting you with one thing and then acting in a completely different way later down the line, or something like that. I'm also hearing the phrase for a good time, not a long time. So it feels like, I mean, that could be something this person says, like when they do something risky, they're like, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. That could be significant. But I'm getting more, it's like, even this person sort of sees themselves in this light. They know that they're not able to make things last. And maybe this is what you wanted to experience with this person. Like, you thought it would be a bit of harmless fun, but you have ended up hurt by this situation, or you've ended up feeling left in the dark. And yeah, maybe you're kind of angry at yourself for falling for this or thinking it could work. Maybe you're feeling like, why did I let this person in? I shouldn't have given them a chance. Like, I knew what this was and I ignored my intuition. And I just want to say, for those of you who feel like this is your fault, it's not. If people choose to treat us badly, that is on them, and two things can be true at once. You can have a good sense of intuition and be aware of things, and you can still want to give people the benefit of the doubt and have faith that they can do better. Like, if we use the example of this person saying they haven't had any long-term relationships, let's say, it doesn't have to be this one, but maybe the last time they properly dated was when they were in their early 20s and now they're in their 30s. So we can be aware of that information, but we could also say, maybe that makes sense in the context of, like, a lot of people aren't looking for serious relationships in their early 20s compared to people who are in their 30s. So if this person wasn't ready to settle down and they are now, I'm going to choose to believe them. It's like you were trying to be logical about it, but in the back of your mind, there was something that made you a little bit unsure. And it's funny with me mentioning the ages, it doesn't necessarily matter what this person's age actually is, but I'm definitely getting something about them lacking maturity or lacking in terms of their emotional development. And I don't know why I'm getting this, but this reminds me of the kind of person who either has childish hobbies or they hang around with people younger than them to try and seem cool, but in actuality it's because people their age maybe don't want to hang out with them. And please do not take childish hobbies the wrong way. I do not mean it like certain hobbies have to be off limits because you reach a certain age. I always say do what brings you joy, do whatever makes your inner child smile. So if you're in your 30s and you love gaming now just as much as you did when you were a teenager, amazing, me too, you do you. If you're in your 40s and you enjoy going to raves or festivals, enjoy. It's not so much about the actual hobby here, but I think with this person, what they do and who they surround themselves with is more of an indication of their stuntedness in terms of spiritual growth. Like, many of us enjoy gaming as adults, for example, but we enjoy our games whilst also looking after ourselves financially, holding down jobs, taking care of a family. But this seems like more of the kind of person who would spend 16 hours a day gaming because they don't have a job and they live in their mum's basement. Or it's the kind of person who would shirk their responsibilities in favour of just doing what they want to do. So if this person and their partner just had a baby, as like one example, and one of the partners is doing absolutely everything, and they're like, hey, like, please can you co-parent this child that you helped create with me? This is the kind of person who would throw tantrums about that and sulk. They'd be like, but I've got a gaming tournament tonight, or but I said I'd hang out with my friends later. It's like they're a grown teenager. It obviously won't be that exact example, but it's just this kind of selfish attitude, and it's clear that they've never had to be accountable for anything or learn to pick up after themselves or have any kind of significant responsibility, to be honest. They could travel a lot, or they could be interested in travel, although that doesn't have to apply. A lot of them probably don't have the money to travel, like maybe they get the money from somebody else, I don't know. But with this person, it's like on the surface, they try to present themselves one way or their life seems cool. But when you look a little bit closer, it's actually kind of sad. This person could think that hanging around with younger people makes them appear young, but it doesn't. I'm getting the image of like a group of young men and this one person who is clearly like 20 years older, but they're dressed like the younger men, thinking it makes them look the same age. And they're saying like, I'm one of the lads, but everyone can tell they are significantly older. Maybe they're trying to flirt with people much younger than them and it can come across as a little bit creepy. And listen, there's nothing wrong with being older and still going out with the lads or with your girls. It's not about that. It's about this person claiming to be an adult and wanting adult things, yet still acting like a child. There's nothing wrong with going out, but you can't claim you want to have a relationship with someone and then refuse to nurture it because you're like, oh, I can't, babe, I'm going out with the lads tonight. Or wait, like you actually want me to spend time with you? Oh, but I want to do this thing instead. Like basically, it can't all be on their terms. It seems like whenever this person has any kind of relationship, they want all of the fun without any of the accountability that comes with an emotional connection. Oh, I'll tell you a phrase I'm getting actually. This is like Peter Pan syndrome. This is the person who never wanted to grow up. And they might say they want an emotional connection or a partnership, but in actuality, they have no idea what that entails because they've never done it properly before. And when the going gets tough, they take flight. It's almost like when you're a kid and you say that you want a boyfriend or girlfriend just to tell your friends at school that you have one, but you don't really know what a true relationship is because to you, a relationship is like just holding hands in the playground or something like that. And I'm getting the image now of like a little boy trying to impress his older sibling and their friends by bragging, like, yeah, I have a girlfriend. And maybe this sibling and the friends are teasing this little boy, like, ooh, do you and your girlfriend kiss? And the kid is like, ew, no, we don't kiss, because they're not actually mature enough to understand what relationships are. They just want to fit in to impress these older people. That's making me think of this person's kind of vibe. It's like they want all this nice stuff to say that they have it. Like they want the fun times, the dates, the physical stuff, but then they don't want to do any emotional labor or put any effort in. They don't want to be there for any kinds of hard conversations or for disagreements or maybe like for when you're going through a hard time or something like that. But that is what I'm getting for the oracle portion of your reading, pile 3. I really, really hope you're enjoying the reading so far. We are now going to move along to the tarot, so please bear with me and we're going to have a look at what we pulled for you. Hi Pile 3 Collective, welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the first 4 cards we pulled for you. So we are going to be looking at how this person is feeling towards you and this connection, Pile 3. So let's pop this sticker here and we're going to look at these first 4 cards. So we have got the Page of Wands, we've got the High Priestess, we've got the 5 of Pentacles reversed, and we have got the Emperor reversed. Okay, this person is a little too cocky for their own good, if I'm being honest. Maybe a little bit too optimistic here with this Page of Wands. They feel like they're going to be able to come rushing in and make things better here with this 5 of Pentacles as well. That can talk about improving relationships. It felt like they were left out in the cold here, but they are hopeful that they can make some progress with you. Some of them could have been working on their finances behind the scenes if they were dealing with unemployment. Maybe they have now acquired work or they have been improving their finances in some way. They definitely view this lack of communication with you as a loss, but they're confident that if they were to come back in, you and them would be able to work on this, and they feel like you would be welcoming and accepting towards them. And I feel like that's maybe where they are being a little bit too big for their boots, because some of you are like, no, that's definitely not happening. Maybe this person thinks they can entice you with, I've got my own money now, see, I've got a job, I'm a grown-up now. And maybe you're like, yeah, but that's the bare minimum. Like, you should have been doing that all along. Maybe they're like, okay, look, I'm back on my feet. I finally moved out of my mum's basement. And you're just going to be like, okay, and like, is that all you have to offer? I don't know why they think that this is impressive. And to anyone listening, by the way, who lives with their parents, because it makes more sense for you to do so in terms of finances or due to other things that are out of your control, that's no shade to you, by the way. Normally, I think it's very impressive when anyone gains that independence to get their own place, because times are tough. It's not easy to do that. I'm not saying that. But there's a difference between an adult who happens to live with their parents and a basement dweller who expects everything to be done for them. And with this person, it kind of feels like a lot of their problem was laziness or always thinking that somebody else would sort their life out for them. So when I say it's not impressive, it's more because this person had the resources to be doing this all along. Like, it's the bare minimum that they could have been doing and they chose not to because they prefer to have other people do the hard work, or they prefer to be babied. It could be that, like, if all you've ever done is treat this person with respect and kindness, regardless of how they've dealt with you, they might have come to expect that kindness, or they think, it's okay, pal three won't be that mad at me. I'll be able to come back in and tell them about what's been going on. But really, maybe they just haven't fully seen that side of you where you can shut people out or leave them out in the cold. Like, maybe you are very kind until somebody crosses you and then you're just done with them. But it seems like this person isn't used to that because they're not accustomed to being held accountable. Maybe in the past, when they would fall out with love interests or friends or whatever, they'd always find a way to like get that person back. So perhaps with you, they're being overconfident because it's going to be a lot harder to get to talk with you. Maybe you're not about that anymore. They are aware that they do not have all the access they'd like to have to you right now because they are viewing you as this high priestess. You're somebody who is unattainable to them. They're heavily desiring you at this time. I think they are thinking about you a lot in a sensual way. They don't really know what you're up to right now or what's going on in your life, so they are curious about you. They want to know what's going on for you. They'd like to have more access to you because you're a bit of a mystery right now. Maybe they want to make sure you're not dating anybody, or they want to know whether they'd be welcomed if they were to add you on socials again, as one example, or something. But I just don't think that they're as fearful as they should be when it comes to communicating with you again because they are showing up as this Page of Wands. So it feels like they know they don't have you right now, but they feel like they can come in and talk you round, or, they're saying to themselves, this won't be the end of my connection with Pal 3. And I just don't know if that's true on your end. Obviously, we will see when we look at your energy, but it's like maybe they're just a little bit naive and they think, yeah, things ended kind of badly with Pal 3, but they'll forgive me. They're a good person. We'll be back talking eventually. But maybe on your end, it's like, well, yeah, I am a good person and I was good to you until you ghosted, but now it's game over. But perhaps they take that part for granted and they think, I mean, maybe because they haven't experienced any repercussions from relationships in the past, they believe it's just fine for them to pop back up when they feel like it and that you'll accept it. It's kind of entitled, but at the same time, I think what's even more annoying about this is it's the fact they're so used to doing this and getting away with it that it isn't even occurring to them that they actually might have to work hard for this. It doesn't even occur to them that somebody could say no to them. This could be a person who has had things handed to them throughout their life. They've never really had to make that effort, and it shows. In their mind, there's not really an option of, Pal 3 might never speak to me again because that's never happened to them before. They've never had to fully deal with the consequences. Maybe in their past relationships or friendships, it's been like, yeah, I disappear for a week or a month, but then I just pop back in and ask, hey, how are you? And we pick back up where we left off. But with you, maybe that's not going to be happening. And I don't know that they're aware of this. I don't know though, like with this high priestess, there is some element of them thinking there's something different about you, like you're onto them. I keep getting the phrase you're onto them, or you're not going to let certain things slide quite so easily. In the back of their mind, I think there is this worry that you can't read them quite well or see right through them. So maybe that is playing on their mind a little bit. But at the same time, they're still kind of like, well, even if Pal 3 is more clued on than other people have been, they'll come round. This has always worked for me before. It's kind of obnoxious. It's like they're thinking about approaching you with a very playful, fun, cheerful energy. Maybe they want to come in with good news and tell you about what they've been up to. They're optimistic about the future of this connection. And maybe on your end, you're like, oh, well, I already moved on when you decided to randomly stop speaking to me for a month. On their end, they could be like, yeah, but I was just working on this. Yeah, I was going through a lot. I was working on my finances. But maybe they need a lesson and they need to know that they can't treat people that way. And I don't know, maybe you will be that lesson, Pal 3. So with this Emperor reversed showing up, I'm getting a couple of different messages here. So for some of you, this person could have called you controlling at some point when you tried to hold them accountable. You weren't actually being controlling. You were trying to have a discussion about your expectations and boundaries, and they'd accuse you of being needy or asking too much of them for honestly doing the bare minimum. Like, you could literally be saying, oh, now that we're exclusive, can you maybe not sleep with other people? And they're like, I can't believe you expect that of me. You're so demanding. You're way too much. It doesn't have to be that extreme of an example, but for some of you, it might be, because this person really does seem to have the audacity. Some of them could have guilted you for their mistakes. Like, they're the kind of person to say that they had to cheat on you because you and them weren't physical enough and they didn't feel loved. So they just fell into bed with somebody else by accident. It's that kind of lack of accountability. But when you'd ask for your basic needs to be met, they'd accuse you of being domineering. Now, on the other hand, it could be that they were controlling, but it was a case of like rules for thee, but not for me. Like, this is the kind of person who, let's say you were talking, but you're not even exclusive, they'd be asking from the off, like, oh, you're not talking to other people, are you? You're not talking to other guys, are you? Or you're not talking to other girls, are you? Even if they're talking to like several different people at once, or they'd ask to look at your phone and your messages and DMs to see who you were talking to. And it's because they knew that they were doing something inappropriate. They can't trust themselves because they lack self discipline. So, in turn, they couldn't trust you. So, maybe they kind of projected that onto you. Or maybe it was both of those things. They accused you of being controlling when actually it was them. Or they sort of gaslit you, like, why don't you trust me? Whilst doing incredibly untrustworthy things that they didn't want you to find out about. It could be that this person has always been kind of a ghost to some degree. Like, maybe sometimes they would take a long time to respond and then make an excuse that didn't seem legit. Or they'd just never be there for you when you needed them to be. They were absent when it mattered most, or something along those lines. So I'm very curious about how you're feeling towards them, pal 3. So let's have a look at the next 4 cards. Okay, so we have got Temperance. We have got the 7 of Swords. We have got the King of Cups reversed. And we have got the 4 of Pentacles. Yeah, this doesn't surprise me. You've got this person sussed out, pal 3. You know what's what. I feel like if you weren't seeing things 100% clearly before because you were ignoring some of the red flags, you're seeing things for what they are now, and this person's true colours have been revealed. It does maybe feel like some time has passed because you've managed to find balance and you've gained some perspective on the situation. It really doesn't feel like you're in the depths of despair over this right now. So maybe you've had some time to process this situation and see it for what it is. If you were upset about this in the past, it feels like it's because you didn't have access to the whole truth. And maybe once you found something out, it changed things and it allowed you to gain some kind of clarity. Because maybe since you found this thing out, it's been like, oh, I don't even want this person now that I know that. It seems like you've come to a place where you're at peace with yourself more than anything and you're striving for harmony in your life. So that's what you're looking for in terms of your personal relationships, and you're no longer settling for anything less. Maybe you knew that with this person things were too chaotic, or you would never have a moment of peace because they would always bring some kind of drama with their behavior or their inconsistency, and it seems like you are just absolutely done with that. I'm hearing that somebody here is holding out for a soulmate. So if you were in an official relationship with this person, maybe at one point you wanted to believe that they were your soulmate because they presented themselves differently to who they actually were. But now you're like, nope, I'm not going back there. I'm holding out for my true soulmate or something along those lines. And if this was more of a casual situation and you never saw this person as like a romantic soulmate, it's still that sense of like you once thought that you were on the same page, you and this person, but they were being deceitful. And so it's more like I'm only going to be surrounding myself with good people from here on out, because it seems like you definitely do not trust this person. You feel as though they've been underhanded about something, or they've tried to get away with something without facing the consequences. You feel like they lied or schemed to get what they wanted with you, they kept things hidden from you, and they seemingly did it without remorse. The 7 of Swords can represent an enemy masquerading as a friend, so it's like this person smiled in your face and acted like they were down for you, but behind the scenes they behaved in a way that was not in alignment with what they were saying. It's like you're kind of saying they think they've gotten away with it, but they haven't. I keep hearing that. So maybe it's like you're saying, I know, I found out. I'm not telling you that I found out. I want to see what you have to say, but I know the truth now. I'm getting something about screenshots here that could just apply to one person. Someone finding screenshots, or somebody sending you some screenshots of this person, essentially like incriminating themselves. But at first, there's this sense of like you're keeping what you know to yourself because you just want to see what they'll say, but you know that they're going to try to escape accountability, or they're going to try to manipulate the situation to explain why they're not in the wrong or it's not their fault. Some of you, it's like you don't want to give this person the chance to think about how they're going to respond when they're presented with this truth, because some of them are very strategic and you know that they'd try to find a way to weasel their way out of something. So instead, you're going to put them on the spot to see what their reaction is, because whatever their reaction is will tell you exactly what you need to know, is something I'm getting, because you can see right through them. You feel as though this person is very emotionally immature, particularly with this King of Cups in reverse. It seems like they're the kind of person to get frustrated with you if you get upset or express your emotions, but then they'll get worked up or very over emotional over the slightest thing, and they expect you to know where they're coming from. They're very hypocritical. You're thinking that they really don't care about anyone but themselves. I think some of you feel you're not just like, this person has wronged me, but you feel as though this person has actually done something morally wrong, like in a general sense. And it seems like you're annoyed that they've seemingly gotten away with it or they've shirked accountability again. Some of you feel like you were conned into a situation with this person. You're like, if I knew this, I would have never given them a chance. For some of you, this could be like this person told you they were single and they were married or they were taken. They'd been lying to you and manipulating you into thinking you were being paranoid when the whole time they were involved with somebody else, or they were still with the person they'd said they were separated from. It's like they weren't actually separated or something like that. And you never would have started anything with them if they'd been open about that from the off. You feel like they've been pretty ruthless and only prioritized their own needs. Maybe one minute they were all over you, and then it's like the next they disappeared out of nowhere and went on to chase after the next thing. Some of them, it could feel like they crossed your boundaries physically. I don't want to go into that too deeply because that feels quite personal, but maybe something happened and they did something that you weren't entirely comfortable with, but they tried to play it off as like, I didn't know, I thought that's what you wanted. But that's a lie. Like they knew that they were overstepping. I feel like one of your biggest issues with this person is that they willfully misunderstand things. And I'm hearing this phrase, I keep hearing it's the principle of it. So for some of you, a disagreement you had with them is about one thing, but they almost try and play dumb and act like it's about something else to make you seem unhinged. So one example I'm getting with this doesn't have to be this example, but let's say you and this person were friends with benefits and this was just a casual or physical situation and that's the arrangement you both wanted. It could be that you tried to set a boundary with them, like, hey, if you start dating or sleeping with somebody else, could you let me know because I want to make sure that I'm being safe? So it could be that this person said, like, no, I'm not interested in sleeping with anyone else. I'm only dating you right now, but I'll 100% let you know if there's anyone else. And then maybe you find out that they've been physical with like 10 other people and now they've passed something onto you and compromised your health by being dishonest. It's like they've put you at risk by lying about something. And when you bring this up to them, they'll try and flip it around on you and act like this is about something else. So, what you're concerned about isn't that they've slept with other people, it's that they lied about it and put your health at risk by being dishonest. So, you're saying, like, it's the principle of it, but they're saying, you can't be mad at me for sleeping with other people. We aren't exclusive. Stop trying to control me. It's like they deflect from the actual issue, and maybe they're out there telling people that that's what you're mad about when it's actually about something else entirely. And you know, a lot of people will say this is why you shouldn't have casual sex, or you should only have intimacy within a relationship or within a marriage. If you're having casual sex, whatever happens to you is on you. And respectfully, you do you, but I disagree. This happens whether or not you're in a relationship. It happens to married couples. Somebody goes for a routine checkup and they find out that the person they've been committed to for like 40 years has cheated on them and given them something. You don't have to be in a romantic relationship with someone to respect them. The basis of any friendship is trust and mutual respect. So even if it's just friends with benefits, the bare minimum here is honesty and respecting someone's boundaries. You're still allowed to have boundaries within the context of a relationship that is purely physical. Just because somebody wants something casual doesn't mean they aren't deserving of basic respect. But yeah, if you were in a relationship with this person, could be like this person deliberately misunderstanding a boundary you've set and then playing victim about it. So one example could be like in you and your relationship, both of you have decided like it's okay to watch corn on the cob, but it's not okay to subscribe to someone's OnlyFans, for example, or something like that. Doesn't have to be that exact example, whatever works for you in your relationship. I'm just giving one random example. So it could be you finding this person making payments to people's OnlyFans or whatever, and they've tried to twist your boundaries by trying to convince you this is exactly the same thing as corn or whatever the case may be. And you're like, I don't care. This is not what we discussed. It's less about the action and more about the fact that they've lied to you. The more I'm understanding about this person, the less I am liking their energy, pal 3. And I do feel like you're in an energy of very much being done with this because of this Four of Pentacles. You're keeping things close to your chest here. It feels like you're keeping yourself to yourself. You're not being open with this person. It feels like you're being very private and you're very selective when it comes to what you put your energy into. It seems like you're not just giving things away freely. You're cautious when it comes to keeping things close to your chest. Maybe that involves what you know about this person, or it's just you saying, there's not a chance that this person is getting any part of me again. You could have felt like this person was possessive, even if they accused you of being so. You think that this person has some deeply rooted issues. I think I agree with you, pal 3. You could have felt like they wanted to exert control over you, or they were stingy. They gave you very little, or they viewed you as a possession, like arm candy, or they objectified you in some way. You could feel like they're greedy, like they wanted to have their cake and eat it too, or something like that. Or they were always really cheap, they weren't very generous with you. Oh, like one example of what this could be with the pentacles, yes, it can be about their resources, like money, etc. But it's also making me think maybe physically they weren't very generous. But again, there's some element of you were like conned into giving them a chance. So maybe they're the kind of person who likes to tell everyone that they're such a giver when it comes to intimacy. They're like, yeah, I prefer giving my partner pleasure, or they told you that they were a freak or that they give you a good time. But maybe this didn't last for very long. I mean, like physically, but also like I just mean the facade of pretending to be that person. It's like they very quickly became selfish, or they just led there like a dead fish, giving no enthusiasm. And you were like, is the generous lover in the room with us right now? Are you inviting a friend over? Because it's not you. Maybe they make a point of like bragging to people, saying, intimacy isn't over until I satisfy my partner. They try to make out like they're this person who really cares about their partner's needs. And maybe that is what happened like the first few times, but then they got lazy, or they were all about getting theirs and not reciprocating or something like that. Oh, this person is a chump, pal three. I'm sorry, but this person is acting like a loser. I'm not saying they can't change, but I don't love this energy. So I'm not surprised that you're done with it and you're not prepared to give them anything. So let's have a look at why this person ghosted. Okay, so we have got the devil. We have got the fool reversed. We have got judgment reversed. And we've got the 8 of Wands reversed. I'm sorry for what I'm about to say, because as a reader, I try to be as level-headed as I can be when doing these readings, and I try to maintain a certain level of professionalism, I guess, when I'm doing these readings, even when it involves energies that I'm not a fan of. But I'm just going to give this message to you the way it's been given to me. And someone is saying they ghosted because they're an idiot. And that message kept popping up several times. And I try and like translate the messages I'm getting. So I was thinking like, should I reword that and say this person is acting like an idiot? And then I hear again, no, I said they're an idiot. So Spirit is saying they're stupid, pal three. They're foolish. Some of them don't know a good thing when they see it, and when they encounter it, they don't know what to do with it. A lot of them have always been careless with people's hearts because they've never been held accountable for this kind of behaviour in the past. They behave recklessly. Sometimes they're not bothered if it will get them in trouble, because what matters most in the moment is them giving into their urges, and they'll figure out the rest later. They always think that there's going to be a way to get out of it if they mess up, like they're always going to be forgiven, or somebody is always going to rescue them, or there's going to be some reason they make up about why it's not their fault. They're very easily distracted. Maybe they're always looking for the next thing. I think we said flighty in the oracle reading. It does feel like that energy of somebody being really fickle, never really knowing what they want. They are very indecisive with this judgment in reverse. They think that they want something, but then it turns out it's not really what they want. But instead of admitting they made a mistake or they changed their mind, they'd sometimes rather place blame on somebody else. They're negligent when it comes to their actual responsibilities. They don't nurture the things that they should care about. They pay attention to the wrong things. It sort of feels like they're bound to their vices, or they're very easily led astray. Maybe they have obsessive or addictive tendencies and it leads to them not taking accountability. Like, for example, if they do something when they're drunk, they'll turn around and say, it wasn't me, it was the alcohol. Or maybe they'll con you into thinking they've quit drinking or quit using substances. They cry or they promise to change, but then they always end up repeating the same patterns, and they don't really want to accept the consequences of that. They could also surround themselves with some not great people, and it feels like they're very easily influenced by these individuals. If they have morally bankrupt friends, for example, it's very easy for them to say, well, I had to do it because everyone else was doing it. I didn't want to be left out. Like they're a child who can't make their own decisions. This is the kind of man who goes to a bachelor party or a woman who goes to a hen party, and they come home and you find out they've slept with one of the strippers. And when you confront them about it, they're like, well, babe, I had to sleep with the stripper. Everyone else was doing it. Obviously, not that exact example, but it's that kind of vibe. Some of them could be very secretive when it comes to their addictions. I know we mentioned corn on the cob earlier, so maybe this is a corn on the cob addiction. Doesn't have to be, but it's like they have been dishonest about their vices, all the things they're bound to. Again, it could be like bound to another person. They're in a marriage and they're cheating on this person, but they've also put you in a predicament by being dishonest with you. It could be so many things, and it doesn't matter too much about what the thing is, but it's more about the fact they weren't who you thought they were. I keep trying not to be rude, but I can't help it. Like, I just feel like evolution missed this person. Like, this person just acts a bit like an animal, and then they're like, oh, it's just in my nature. But the thing is, I think they'd absolutely flip their lid if people did to them what they did to other people. And I really do think this person still has a lot of karmic lessons to learn that I don't think they've learned yet. They're still lacking self awareness and they keep repeating these same mistakes and maybe unfairly blaming you or other people when things go wrong. Maybe they were even accusing you of things they did themselves and they stopped speaking because they were projecting their guilt onto you, or because accusing you of something gave them an excuse to blank you and to move on to something else. It's like they accused you of cheating because actually they wanted to go and get to know somebody else, and they just use that as like a reason of why they didn't look like the bad guy or girl. They could have made up malicious rumors about you, like telling other people that you cheated or that you were crazy when actually it was the other way round or something like that. They wanted to spread gossip about you as if they hadn't done anything wrong. Yeah, they just do things without really thinking. They don't engage their brain when they're making decisions. They're just like, I'll worry about that later, because their base urges are always more important and take precedence over anything else. And in the process of always prioritizing their needs and being selfish, they hurt a lot of people, but I don't think they hold themselves accountable for it. I am getting another message here, and it's to those of you specifically where you are feeling mad at yourselves for giving this person a chance, or you feel like this person has taken something away from you or that you have been used by them in some way. And I just want to say that this is not your fault. Wanting to give someone the benefit of the doubt is not a bad thing. Wanting to see the best in someone or believing that someone can change does not make you crazy. This person acts this way because they have their own demons, and how they have treated you actually has very little to do with you. This is something they have done with a lot of people in their life, and it's because that they are a deeply lonely and unfulfilled individual. They're not able to develop deep bonds with other people because they don't trust or value themselves enough to trust or value other people. And that's incredibly sad, but they are unwilling to do the work, and that's not something you can change. You, on the other hand, have every opportunity to develop mutually nurturing and deep bonds with others, because it's very possible to find someone that can match your energy. It's just that this person doesn't, because they're not currently capable of it, and I think you have come to accept that. But some of you might have this lingering self doubt of, was I the foolish one, or did I do something wrong to make this happen? And I just want you to know that no, you didn't. And if this situation has ended, this is actually a blessing in disguise, and I'm going to tell you why. And the reason I want to say this, by the way, is because I'm getting to varying degrees. Some of you could have felt like you've been blamed for choosing wrong, because some people could have said to you, like, well, you knew what this person was like. What did you expect with someone like that? Or another example I'm getting is like, if it was early days with this person and you were physical with them, particularly if you're a woman, you might receive such a lot of judgment that men would never ever receive, because people might say to you, well, what did you expect if you slept with this person this early on? And I know when people say things like that, it can bring up a lot of shame and you feeling like you did do something wrong. But I'm just going to say it right now. You didn't do anything wrong, and none of that matters. That's a belief that is rooted in misogyny, and it is objectively untrue. It doesn't make a difference when you choose to be physical with somebody. You could do all the right things, wait the allotted amount of time, or even wait until marriage. But if someone is intent on getting what they want and then leaving, they're going to do that regardless. The only difference is they've wasted more of your time if you find out later rather than sooner. If someone is a piece of shit, it is so much better to know early on. And this isn't me calling anyone out for only wanting a physical relationship. I think that's fine. I encourage that if everyone is happy and consents to that arrangement. But what you tend to find is that there's a specific brand of person who they're very much focused on the physical, but instead of choosing to date other people who also only want the physical, of which there are plenty out there, they instead manipulate a person who wants something more serious by claiming that they're also looking for something serious, and then they dip out when they get what they want. Because it's not about just having fun with somebody. There are lots of people who only want something casual. If it was just about like the physical, there's plenty of people out there. What these people get off on is the process of coercing someone to be physical under a false pretense. It's not the physical act that they get off on, it's the manipulation and the power and control of using lies and trickery and scheming to get someone, and then abruptly taking away their affection once they feel like they have got what they want from someone. So please do not worry about what you did. If you feel like I did something too soon, at least that means you found out faster. It's better than spending longer with this person than realizing 5 years down the line they're not who you thought they were. And I know physical intimacy is a bigger deal to some people than it is to others, and people assign different meanings to it, and I'm not dismissing that. But the people who like to shame women for having fun because when women do it, they have lost something, but they don't shame men for having the same fun because when men do it, they gain something, are people whose opinions I cannot bring myself to hold in high esteem, because those people clearly think that the only value women have are their bodies. So when they choose to have a consensual experience using their body, those women are shamed for it. They're told, you let someone do this, as if they aren't active participants, which is so weird to me because I never see anyone shame men for breaking their backs doing physical labor jobs. I never hear anyone say, you're being used by your boss. You're literally breaking your back for the capitalist machine, and so you do not deserve any respect. Nobody says, you're letting people use your body when it comes to other things, only sex and usually only women. And it's not that I don't think you should be discerning about who you spend your time with, but I also think you deserve to have your fun and you shouldn't feel bad about it. And if it was fun while it lasted, see it for what it was, but understand that it doesn't make you lesser than. For me personally, what's more valuable to me than preserving my purity, which is long gone by the way, is what I invest my time and energy into. My time is way more important to me than what's between my legs. So I don't want to spend my time or energy on someone who I do not align with. If I were to have a physical encounter with someone and then they didn't want to be with me because I didn't abide to a strict schedule of when it's okay or not okay to be intimate with someone based on societal conditioning, I would be like, thank fuck for that, because me and that person are clearly not compatible. I don't want to be with anyone who has those views. I'd be grateful that they've shown me who they are so that my time won't be wasted. I have many, many things to offer that have nothing to do with my physical body, and that person would not be fortunate enough to experience those things. If that situation applies to you, pal 3, that's how you have to think about it, because if you are loving and you are kind, you have so much more to offer. Nothing has been taken away from you because you chose to get some action in that example. It's really not that deep, and don't let anyone shame you into thinking otherwise or thinking you're not deserving of great things, because you are. It's just that this person isn't going to get the opportunity to see those things. That was just a little bit of a side tangent that felt relevant to someone here. I felt like somebody needed that reassurance today. But let's have a look at this person's next actions. Are they coming back to life, specifically your life? They better not, pal 3. If they do, I'm ready to fight them. In fact, pal 3, I think I'm going to need to take you on a date and show this person how it's done, because clearly they don't know what they're doing. Anyway, let's see. Okay, we've got the 9 of Cups. Oh, so now you're their wish fulfillment. Okay then. You know when somebody replies with a sarcastic thumbs up? That's what I'm doing. Like, okay, sure, Jan. All right, we've got the 10 of Swords figures. We've got the 10 of Pentacles in reverse. And we've got the 7 of Cups in reverse. Yeah, they're not a happy bunny, which feels fitting because we're using the Chubby Bun Tarot. I've never been happier to see these cards showing up, and it's not because I'm evil. I do not wish any ill on this person, but I do feel like something they've been severely lacking is a healthy dose of accountability, and it seems like they're getting a reality check with the 7 of Cups reversed. And that ultimately is going to be the thing to help them grow in the long run, because this is something this person has been avoiding for a long time, and they've been doing themselves a disservice. I'm hearing, what a sad little life, Jane, from that Come Dine With Me episode. So I don't know if that's relevant to anyone here, or whether your guides are just looking at this person and that's what they're saying, like they pity them. But here it's like they're sobering up and having to face the consequences of their own actions. Some of them, this could be like they're literally getting sober. Maybe they've spent a long time making excuses for choices they've made by blaming their substance issues or addictions. So now they're having to come face to face with some of the choices that have led them down this path. But some of them, I think this just refers to the sobering truth that they are not getting you back, and it's because of their actions, and they have to live with that. They're not used to being told no, so maybe they thought that you would give in, or they just needed to get you to come round. But I think whatever this person has done, or maybe whatever they haven't done, has just really put you off. And for want of a better phrase, it's really giving you the ick, to the point where you're like, there's just no way in heck. And it feels like you're going to be given the opportunity to finalize something here. So if this person does try to come back into your life, this is you putting the final nail in the coffin, saying goodbye and being on your merry way. And it feels like this is the thing that's going to make this person hit rock bottom. But that's something they need to do to gain that clarity and self-awareness. They need to go through this so they can understand that they can't just treat people however they like and expect there to be no consequences. You could have felt like for too long you were a doormat, or you let this person betray you or stab you in the back, or you let them badmouth you or play the victim, and you're just done with it. You're not having it anymore. It could be that this person at first tries to get up to their usual tricks or playing the victim or blaming other people. It could be that they gossip about this situation and exaggerate the part that you had to play in this breaking down, but they underplay what they did. They act like the martyr in this situation. But I think people can see that this person is being overly dramatic and attention seeking when it comes to this. And I think I'm hearing the phrase, this finishes them off. Like, you ending things just finishes them off because they feel like everything is just going wrong in their life. But I actually think that this is them being very dramatic. I'm not saying they don't have a lot of mental issues because I think they do, clearly. But I think a lot of the issues they have are ones of their own making. Like, yes, you're not going to feel great about yourself when you're treating other people like crap and ruining their lives. Who knew? I think they're going to be struggling to cope with the fact you said no to them, but they need this. They're not going to learn otherwise. They're just going to continue on the way they've been going. They might try to use a guilt trip on you, like they're saying, this is going wrong and I lost the new job I just got, or I'm being kicked out of my house and now you won't even give me a chance. And you're like, okay, but what was the reason you got kicked out of your house? Is it because you were cheating on your wife or husband and now you're coming back to me? Not that exact example, but it's usually something they've done to cause this. They end up in a bad situation mentally, but it's because of something that they've done. It's that kind of thing where they're almost shocked and they're like, I can't believe you're doing this to me when I have all of this going on. Everything is falling apart in my life and I just need you to be there for me. And it's kind of like too little too late, as JoJo would say. So they are going to be going through it, but this is kind of something they have to go through because it's the catalyst to their growth. They have to lose everything to be able to truly reflect on their behaviour and what's happened here. And they have to come to terms with the fact that you're not going to be the one to come and save them or come and bail them out. You can't just come in and make everything better. They have to do the work themselves. One message I am getting for someone here is that they may really be missing the intimacy with that Nine of Cups showing up. There's something about it's different with you, or they're craving it, or it's the best they've ever had. So what's adding to their woes is knowing that they're not ever going to get that again. But on your end, it's just like, you should have thought about that before behaving the way you have. This isn't you being cruel. This is literally just accountability for their own actions. You're not responsible for them. So that is what I'm getting for the tarot portion of your reading. Let's finish the reading off by looking at some closing guidance from the Soul Truth Oracle. Okay, pile 3, so we have, am I focused on what I want most? And I'm going to read out what's on the back. Feel free to pause the video if you would like to have a little look yourself. But on the back we have a Tony Robbins quote, and it says, one reason so few of us achieve what we truly want is that we never direct our focus. We never concentrate our power. Most people dabble their way through life, never deciding to master anything in particular. And it says, today's soul action, what you focus on grows. Today, ask yourself, is my life a reflection of my values, or do I need to make adjustments? Prioritize. I think your closing advice at pile 3 is basically just saying, let's prioritize you now. Like, this is your time. You really need to invest your energy into the things you truly want, because maybe it feels like you've spent a lot of time prioritizing this other person's needs or settling for less than you deserve because this person manipulated you into feeling like you were asking too much. And here I'm seeing, like, although this person might want you back, they have burnt you too many times and the flame has gone out. So now you need to light your own candle or light your own way and keep yourself warm and really throw yourself into whatever it is that brings you joy and light. If it's ever felt like you've put other people first and it's worked to your detriment, if it's felt like you've been worrying a lot about this situation or focusing on, what did I do wrong to make this person that way? This is gentle encouragement to let go of some of those beliefs because they are not serving you. And this is saying your needs are just as important as anyone else's, and you deserve to live a life that aligns with you. You deserve to be surrounded by people that align with you. You deserve to be in situations that are nourishing for you. So it is okay for you to be selfish or not want to solve people's problems for them, because that's not what you're here for. You're here to have your own beautiful human experiences where you're not constantly concerned with what other people are up to. You do not deserve all of the stress you've experienced while dealing with this person. And although I think it seems like you are set on the idea that you're not going back to this person and you've come to terms with that, if you're ever having doubts, I think it's important to remind you, like, will you ever be able to have the life you want if you were stuck in that situation? And if the answer is no, just keep reminding yourself of that. If the answer is, if this person was different, then I could, then that's also all the answer you need, because that's still a no, because they're not different. If you want different, then a great idea is to go for a different person and not someone who is pretending to be a King of Cups upright when they're actually a King of Cups reversed. If you want a King of Cups upright, you can absolutely have one, but there's no use trying to shape this person into a wonky King of Cups upright, because they're going to keep falling over because they're so used to living in an upside down, backwards way. Why do that when if you focus on what you really want, you can find a King of Cups upright who doesn't need help standing up because they're independent and they can do that for themselves. They don't need anyone to come in and help them stand. And they're actually bettering your life. They're not taking away your energy. You're not focused on constantly having to prop them up. So that is what I'm getting for the tarot portion of your reading, pile 3. I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading today. If you did enjoy the reading, please take a little moment to like the video. Please comment and let me know what resonated, or just let me know which pile you picked if you don't feel comfortable saying what resonated. That would just mean so much to me. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. That is the best and easiest way to support me and this channel going forward. I am slowly making my way to 1,000 subscribers, so please help me reach that goal and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking time out of your day to hear my ramblings. I really appreciate you. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one, pile 3. Hi, Pile 4 Collective. If you chose the Adventure Time Tarot and the Ghost with the Headphone sticker, you are in the correct place. Welcome to your reading, friends. In today's reading, we are asking, why did they ghost and are they coming back to life? More specifically, your life. We're looking at who this person is and the overarching connection, their thoughts and feelings towards you, your thoughts and feelings towards them. We are looking into why specifically they ghosted, and we're also going to be asking what their next actions are in terms of this connection. Will they be coming back from the dead, or are they staying a ghost? So this reading is about that person in your life who just straight up vanished. They disappeared into thin air, they got distant, they stopped communicating. We are spilling the tea on that person. It could be a situation from your past or a situation you have been through very recently. The reading is intended to be timeless, so whenever you watch it is the right time. For a lot of you, this will be romantic, but it certainly doesn't have to be. This could also be about a connection with a platonic person who for some reason pulled back their energy and you're not really sure why. I would recommend checking out the introduction if you would like a full breakdown of what this reading will entail. I go through absolutely everything there. What I do want to reiterate just briefly, if you feel like any part of this reading is likely to be more harmful to you than helpful, please prioritize your own emotional health and give this one a miss. These readings are intended to provide clarity, not to confuse you further. So if we happen to get messages regarding a particular person or situation that you are just done with, that just means you are on a different stage of the timeline as another person who chose the same pile as you. Always just take what's for you and leave the rest for somebody else. With all of that said, I really hope you enjoy this reading today. I hope it provides some clarity. And without hesitation, let's have a look at the oracle cards we pulled for you. Okay, so I'm just going to pop your tarot cards to one side for now so we can focus on these oracle cards, and we're going to be looking at this person in the overarching connection. Okay, so we have allow divine timing. We have tenacity reversed. And we have caution. Now, I do not usually take reversals during the oracle portion of the reading, but when I pulled this card, it flipped out of the deck and landed in front of me upside down, so I feel like it wanted to be that way, and there's a reason for it coming out like that, which I will discuss. Now, for this pile, I am feeling that this could either be platonic or romantic. This could be an established friendship, and that's all it has ever been, or this could be someone who you are friendly with, but there is potential of this developing into something romantic, but it feels like this hasn't ever gotten off the ground, or for some reason, it's just never been the right time. Now, this doesn't have to be someone you have known for a long time. For some of you, it will be. For example, this could be someone who you have known or been friendly with since you were in high school or something like that. You maybe used to run in similar social circles, or you knew of them like through a friend of a friend. And although you might have lost touch with them at certain points, maybe there was always a fondness or some kind of flirty vibe, but it never progressed into anything serious. And maybe throughout the years, this person has kind of dipped in and out of your life or checked up on you, but nothing romantic has ever really happened officially. But for others of you, this could be someone more recent, like you've known them for a shorter amount of time than that. But again, something really hasn't gotten off the ground here, because I keep getting this message about this person dipping in and out of your life or popping back up after months of silence or inconsistent communication. Or there's something about you guys like trying to make plans or saying that you're going to meet up, but then the plans always fall through, or this person doesn't take the initiative to arrange something. There could have been ghosting, as in like last minute cancellations, or like you message this person on the day you're supposed to meet and they don't get back to you, but then they'll pop up again a few weeks later, like, I'm really sorry about that, I had such and such a thing going on. Maybe a few of them deal with like mental health issues or crippling social anxiety or something like that. Or maybe they do have a genuinely very hectic schedule right now. Let's say this is a friend as one example. It's like one day this person will be really enthusiastic about catching up with you, and they're like, we need to meet for coffee, I've missed you so much. And they'll even mention a date, but then as it gets closer to that date and you're trying to finalize plans or confirm, they just go quiet or they just ignore their messages. And same if it's like a date situation or a romantic situation, they talk about taking you out and then it gets closer to the day and they just dip out or stop responding. It just feels like never the right time with this divine timing card coming out. So this person could be saying like, I'm so sorry that I bailed on you. I just have a lot going on at home with my family, or my kids are sick, or I got sick. But it always happens to be at the last minute. So you're kind of feeling like there's more to the story here. It could be just not the right time, as in, if you have known each other a while, maybe there was always a sense of like this could be more, but maybe one of you was in a relationship and then the next time they popped back up, maybe you were in a relationship and then it was just never the right time to start something. If this is romantic, it does definitely feel like this is someone who wants to talk to you because they genuinely like talking to you. And what I mean by that is, for example, often when you get people trying to like slide into your DMs, they're acting like they're interested in you as a person. But then when you're like, I'm taken or I'm in a relationship, they either stop speaking because they only wanted one thing, or they try to disrespect your relationship by still shooting their shot anyway. And I'm getting that this person is really neither of those things. It's like they might try to talk to you and they might want to shoot their shot in a romantic way. But if you were to say, like, I've got a boyfriend or I've got a girlfriend, I don't think they would be disrespectful of that, but they wouldn't just stop speaking to you because of it, because they're actually interested in having a conversation. It doesn't matter to them whether it leads to anything flirty. They just honestly want to know how you are. So if you said you're taken, they wouldn't get upset about it. They'd be like, oh, cool, like, where did you guys meet? And they'd continue chatting with you in a platonic way. There's this sense of like, even if they do have a crush on you or something, if you're like, I'm in a relationship, or you're speaking to them more platonically, it's like they'll match your energy. Like, some people, you can kind of say to them, oh, like, I'm in a relationship, or I'm taken, or I don't want you to be speaking to me like that, and they'll just disrespect your boundaries or try to like flirt with you or get a bit sexual anyway. But this person isn't like that. Like, they'll match your energy basically. There might be certain excuses this person has made in terms of ghosting or cancelling plans that you're just not sure if you buy, and maybe you're a little concerned because you're like, if they wanted to, they would, so maybe they're just not that interested. But I do think that actually, for the most part, this person is fairly genuine. Now, I do think that there might be certain aspects of this story that they have left out because they can be quite guarded in terms of opening up, but it doesn't seem like they are making things up or keeping things from you deliberately. Like, as one example, if you and this person are meant to be going on a date and they text you like half an hour before saying, I'm really sorry, but I'm throwing up, I must have a stomach bug. And you're like, I don't buy it because this happened last time we tried to plan a date. I feel like they're just toying with me because how many stomach bugs can one person get? It's not that they're not ill, it's just that maybe what they haven't told you is that it's not because of a stomach bug, it's because they struggle with anxiety or panic attacks, as one example. Like, maybe they panic when it comes to socializing or meeting new people if this is a newer person. And so they're not doing this last minute to try and mess you around or waste your time. It's just that things become overwhelming for them pretty quickly, and sometimes they end up in a situation where they don't know what to do. Some of them could be neurodivergent. That doesn't have to apply, but it might to a couple of people here. This definitely feels like someone who likes their space and likes their alone time. This could be somebody who is fairly introverted or quite reserved. This could be somebody who you always see like with their headphones on, or they don't always enjoy socializing or making eye contact with other people. They tend to keep to themselves a lot of the time. They're a little withdrawn. It also feels like they are very guarded and they struggle to open up easily. But I think this is due to some of the things they have experienced in terms of their relationships with other people. There could be a connection to music here, like this person, something you know about them is that they're really into a specific type of music. Some of them could be musicians, or they can play an instrument, or they've been in a band before, or they're a singer, or it could just be like you share a similar music taste and it's a specific niche or something like that, or you know them for being interested in that specific type of music. Some of them could have ended a long term relationship fairly recently, or their last long term relationship really did a number on them and now they're not sure who to trust. So maybe they kind of panic when it comes to following through with plans. They could really lack self confidence, or they're scared of being the initiator because they have a fear of rejection, or they're fearful that they'll get feelings for someone and then that person will turn around and hurt them the way they got hurt last time. So it's like they want love or they want authentic connection or friendship, but maybe as it gets closer to the date or the hangout, whatever it is, they feel like they won't be accepted for who they really are, so they back out at the last minute or they stop replying. I think there could be two different groups of people here within the same pile, and for one group of you, I'm getting that message we mentioned earlier of like, maybe this is someone you have known a long time, but perhaps you haven't seen each other in a while. But for another group of you, I'm getting like this could have started out as an online connection, like a pen pal or someone you met in an online community or on a dating app. back, and things seem to be going good. You liked this person, you saw potential in them for solid friendship or for dating, but when it came to organising things or following through, this person just kept doing a disappearing act. But either way, whatever your scenario is, I'm getting something significant about online messages here. It feels like you've had, I want to say, like a proper conversation with this person via DM or email or text or whatever, because I'm seeing like not just short messages but long paragraphs. So it feels like some pretty in-depth conversations. I'm also getting something about voice notes, but it's something about like one person sends a lot of voice notes but the other person doesn't send voice notes and they always reply with a text paragraph instead. Some of you, if you haven't ever met this person in real life, you could be exercising caution because you're worried that this is like a catfish situation or something along those lines. Or maybe you're even thinking like, what if this person I've been talking to is a serial killer? Or what if they keep ghosting because they're not really who they say they are? And so far, I'm not feeling like that is the case, but I understand why some of you might be feeling that way. It's understandable in this day and age where anyone can pretend to be anyone or anything. It's always a good idea to have your wits about you and meet up in public spaces and things like that. But I feel like it's more, maybe this person is scared of rejection or they're scared you won't accept them. And it's not because they're a catfish necessarily, but maybe they are concerned that you won't be attracted to them in real life. Or, if this was somebody from your past, they're worried like they don't look the same as they did in high school when you knew them, and they're conscious about that. So that's why they're a bit reluctant to meet in person or something. And it's not because they're not attractive, but I do think they have self-esteem issues. And some of this could be a byproduct of another relationship that they've been in. Maybe they were with someone who put them down or criticized them a lot, or made them feel like nobody would find them attractive. Or maybe they just developed very unhealthy habits in their last relationship. Like, as one example, maybe they comfort ate and gained a lot more weight than what they're comfortable with. So now they feel like they have to lose X amount of weight before they meet up with you. Like, the conditions have to be perfect. And that's why they've been putting it off, or why they're thinking it's not the right time. Obviously, if this is romantic, they're thinking that they don't have a chance with you in that way until they look a certain way, maybe, or until they've got this certain job, or until XYZ condition is met. But if it's just friendly and you're like, why does this person keep ghosting plans with me? And you think that it's because they don't want to see you, it's not that. It seems just like they're insecure, or they don't want to be comparing how they look to how you look, as one example, or they don't want you to see that they've, for example, gained a lot of weight since you last saw them. It's like they want to look good and feel good and be the best version of themselves when they encounter you, and they're not feeling that way about themselves right now. And with this tenacity in reverse, I think this is the thing that's confusing you, because this person makes it seem like they want to make plans or they want to hang out, but when the time comes to solidify that, they're very hesitant. And so maybe on your end, you're like, well, they must not be that into this, but it's a lot more to do with how they feel about themselves. On your end, it just looks like low effort because you're like, when I like someone, I persevere with them, and they're not working very hard to make this date or make this hangout happen, so they must not care. You feel like they're nonchalant about it, but actually it's something they think about a lot, and I think they do have an awareness that they might lose you, or you might stop responding if they keep showing up in this way. This lack of tenacity could be especially surprising to you if you did know this person when you were both younger and they seemed more outgoing or they seemed more confident, because maybe you're like, well, if they wanted this, I know they'd go after it, but it could be that they've changed a lot or they've become withdrawn due to something that's happened in their life. So you'd be surprised to know that they do hesitate a lot more now, or they're not as confident as what they portray or who they used to be. There is this big message here about divine timing, and I know that's not what anybody wants to hear, but I am hearing like it might just not be the time right now, but one day it will be the right time. Or basically, if it's meant to happen, it will happen. And I know it's hard to trust in that, especially if it's been a long time and something still hasn't developed here, it hasn't gotten off the ground. But what I'm sensing is like, if this person has their own stuff to deal with, or they don't have enough confidence to pursue a relationship right now, or to meet you where you're at, you have to let them go and let them do their thing and work on their own glow up, because you can't force it. If they're not feeling like their best self, they're not going to be showing up for you the way you need them to. And so, as disappointing as this current situation may be, it's also like a form of divine protection, because if you guys were to be together now, if you were to force them to meet up with you, maybe you guys wouldn't vibe because the time isn't right, you're not on the same level. So there's something like, you guys will be able to connect when the time is right, and there's no point trying to force it to happen a certain way, because when it's meant to happen, it will unfold naturally and there will be no need to force it. You won't have to chase anything. You won't have to beg this person to make plans with you or stick to plans with you. So that is what I'm getting for the oracle portion of your reading. I really, really hope you are enjoying the reading so far, pal 4. We are about to move along to the tarot, so please bear with me and I'll see you in the tarot portion of your reading. Hi, Powerful Collective. Welcome back to the tarot portion of your reading. Without hesitation, let's get started and have a look at the first 4 cards we pulled for you. So we are looking at this person's thoughts and feelings towards you and this connection. Okay, so we have got the 6 of Cups. We've got the King of Wands. We've got the Chariot. And we've got the 6 of Swords. Okay, powerful. This is actually really good news because this person is committed to their healing. And the more I'm feeling this person's energy, the more I'm sensing that they've really been through a lot of chaos and turmoil that you don't know about. And it's not that they're being deliberately secretive. I just think this is a person who doesn't like to make a big deal about their problems, or they don't like to make their problems other people's problems. Or maybe for some of them, they've only just acknowledged the impact that a past situation has had on them. I am leaning towards a lot of this being to do with a past romantic relationship, like them being stuck in a toxic cycle with someone who was cruel to them for a long time and only just realizing what that situation was and dealing with the aftermath of that. Or this could be them, if you know that doesn't apply, like they've not had a romantic relationship where that could apply. This could be them reflecting on something that happened in childhood, and for the first time, they're seeing that situation for what it was and maybe how much that has messed up their self esteem. And so they're dealing with that. They are actively taking steps to get out of this mentality and move towards calmer waters. They're overcoming some of the struggles they have been through. This is like the calm after the storm. So it feels like they've had their tower moment or they've been through a storm, but now they're coming out of the other side of that. It's just that maybe when they were going through it, they acted in ways that they're not proud of because they found it difficult to cope with everything that was going on. But they've realized they weren't showing up as who they really are or who they want to be. So they are dedicated to doing the work here. That is what I'm seeing. Some of them could have gotten support with some of their issues. Some of them could have started therapy, or they're going to counseling. And it feels like with this King of Wands, particularly, for the first time in a long time, they're starting to feel optimistic again. They're starting to feel confident again. They're getting their zest for life back, because maybe for a long time they did feel really down or apathetic or depleted, and they didn't feel like they could ever get the strength to overcome some of these obstacles. For some of them, I'm hearing like they are getting their old self back. So if this is somebody you have known for a long time and you used to know them as like funny and charming and vivacious, they've maybe been down on themselves because they've said like, that's not me anymore. Like, I've had all the confidence knocked out of me due to this certain situation. But now it's like they're working on becoming that person again who they once were. They're taking control of their own life here, and they're motivating themselves to keep going and keep doing this work and keep growing and healing. It also feels like they're going to be getting more honest about things. So maybe if this is somebody who made excuses as to why they can't meet up because they felt ashamed for dealing with some of these things, it's like now they're saying, look, I struggle with mental health. It's not really diarrhea. I've just had an absolutely huge mentee bee, and they're feeling less embarrassed talking to you about that. Maybe they were brought up to think that anxiety or depression is only for weak people, or they were made to believe that they were the problem by a past partner, so they didn't think they could express these struggles because it would make them seem lesser than. Maybe they were telling themselves, like, I don't want to burden Power 4 with this because nobody wants to be with somebody who has panic attacks. They'll think I'm not a strong person or that I can't protect them or something along those lines. And I think this is because someone in their past, either their distant past or their recent past, made them feel this way. They maybe didn't have a safe person who they could talk to about these things. They didn't know who to trust, so they feel like they had to admit some of the truth here. But I do think they want to be more open with you because they feel like there's a kind of simpleness to your connection. I think they can sense deep down that if they were to express some of these things to you, you would be supportive, you wouldn't make fun of them, you wouldn't berate them, you would be kind about it, you would give them a safe space to vent or discuss some of these things with. Maybe they've been made to feel guilty when it comes to opening up about their issues because they had someone in the past who just dismissed it, or when they tried to raise an issue, this other person maybe made it all about themselves. But with you, it feels like there's an innocence to this connection. There's a balance. It feels like if they were to tell you something, it wouldn't shock you. It feels like you'd be quite accepting and open, and they'd feel better for having opened up to you. Maybe you'd give some really amazing advice or something like that. With this Chariot, this person is working really hard in terms of becoming more consistent, just generally. They are feeling motivated. I think encountering you gives them hope in a way. It's like even if they have been hurt by someone or something in the past, they look at you and they're kind of saying, but I know there's good people out there, or I know there's better things out here. Not everyone is like my ex, or not everyone will hurt me. And they want to be in that place to be able to accept the offer of love or friendship. And so they are working on their self development and they're trying to overcome the obstacles. So this is something they're focusing on every day. They're exercising a lot of self discipline to get to where they need to be, because what they want is to come towards you with this chariot. I think they see success with you. They see themselves making future plans with you, but they know they need to be in the right headspace and they know they need to show up being the person you need them to be. So they're working on that because deep down, this is who they are. They are that King of Wands, but something has pulled them away from that. They've been wounded, they've been injured, and so they're getting back on their feet, but they might need time and space in order to do that. So let's have a look at your energy, pal, for how are you feeling towards this person and towards this connection. Okay, so we have got the Ten of Wands reversed. We have got the Eight of Cups. We've got the Two of Cups reversed. And we have got the Moon. Okay, yeah, this makes sense, powerful. You're feeling uncertain about this. You're feeling confused about this person and this situation. You're not sure whether they're really interested or serious about this. You might feel like there's more to the story or that this person has been deliberately vague. You think there are things you don't know. Some of you, from your perspective, this is feeling very one sided, and some of you have been on the verge of just drawing a line under this and deciding to walk away for good with that Eight of Cups. Because I think, particularly like with this Ten of Wands reversed, you felt like you've been flogging a dead horse here. Maybe it feels like you've been the one trying to initiate plans or get somewhere with this person, but it just keeps falling through and now you're tired of it. It feels like you've been trying, but you're not really getting anywhere with this person. And maybe you're saying to yourself, maybe I just need to accept that this seems like it isn't going to work and maybe I need to let this go. You might think that this person just isn't up to the challenge. You don't think they can handle this connection right now, or they're not really pursuing you in a deliberate way. And that's making you question, like, do they really want this? Or is there something else going on that they're not telling me about? And I do think they are going through things that they haven't yet been open about. But I think on your end, it's causing a lot of confusion because maybe some of you are jumping to the worst case scenario with this. And that's not for everyone. Obviously, there's going to be many different situations here. And I always encourage you to trust your intuition. But it feels like some of you are very baffled because one minute it seems like this person is super interested and you're feeling very connected. And then when they go silent for periods of time, you could jump to the conclusion of like, have they gone off me because they're talking to someone else? Or is it because they're talking to their ex? Or are they married or something like that? And maybe that's been making you feel insecure because it's like they'll just drop off the radar and they're not really explaining things properly. So you're like, maybe there's someone else, as one example. But I actually am not sensing that it's anything like that. As we said earlier, I think a lot of it is due to this person's insecurities and them, not necessarily knowing who they can trust or not even knowing whether they can trust themselves to make a good decision when it comes to romance or to friendship. Maybe some of you do kind of know that this person has insecurities or they get anxious. And I feel like you are an understanding person when it comes to that because maybe you've dealt with your own struggles, or if it's not that, maybe you are just very empathetic generally. So you try to be patient with this, but it's getting to the stage where I think you're like, but I need someone to be able to meet me where I'm at. And that could be you acknowledging, I do like this person, I don't think they're a bad person, but I can't be involved with somebody who is going to ghost me or fall off the radar when they're struggling with anxiety, because maybe that triggers like your abandonment anxiety as one example. It's like, if this is going to work with this person, they have to talk to you about these things. And it feels like right now you haven't been on the same page with that. And you're aware that you can't make someone open up if they don't feel ready, but maybe you're in the place of saying, well, maybe we need to put things on pause, or I need to let this go and focus on other things for now. Because it seems like you have tried with this, but you've reached your limit because every time it seems like you're getting somewhere, you end up disappointed. It feels like too many plans have been abandoned here, and now you're like, is it time to just walk away? Do I need to leave this situation behind? Maybe you're feeling like this person has just cancelled plans or gone silent on you one too many times. And the first few times, maybe you gave them a pass, but if they're still not opening up to you and it's still leaving you confused, maybe you're thinking like, this just isn't the right time. This person clearly is not ready. They can't give me what I need, etc. And it's like sometimes you feel such a sense of connection with this person. Some of you could really sense some aspects of yourself within this person. Like there could be some mirroring going on, or you guys just have a lot of similarities, particularly if you've dealt with some of the same struggles that they've dealt with, or to do with like mental health, or maybe both of you having been through bad breakups or relationships or things like that. So you do have sympathy for them. And I'm almost feeling this sense of you saying to them, like, look, I've been where you are, so I understand why you do the things you do. but also you can't keep doing this to me and expect me to stay or be around for you because that's not fair on me. So one example of this could be you saying like, look, I understand what it feels like to panic when it comes to social settings, but it's not fair that you suggest these dates or these hangouts and you always cancel on me or go silent. It's not fair to expect me to keep accepting plans with you for you to abandon me on the day. So I think it's upsetting for you to think about officially closing the chapter, like closing the door on this personal situation, because there's such a lot of potential here, whether it's for friendship or romance. You see so much of yourself in this person, and maybe you know they're not doing this deliberately, but it doesn't change the fact that you'll be made to feel like this situation is unequal and out of balance. If we are to use that example of making plans, and then when it gets to the day of the plans, this person stops replying, it's not fair for you to have to constantly chase this person up asking for an answer. It's not fair for you to have to keep messaging and not getting a response for weeks. You know it's not right. So as much as it would pain you to lose this connection, you're like, I'm not sure how much longer I can do this because this is just not fair to me. You can't help but feel as though the two of you are just incompatible right now. And it's crazy because on a different timeline, you just know that you would be so compatible. And I think that's where this divine timing comes into play. Because if we are to look at you guys on just a soul level, I do get the sense that there is this sameness, like you would vibe well together if it wasn't for this one thing. In this instance, you know, maybe this person's insecurities getting in the way. So that's why I think there's this message of like right person, wrong time. Because maybe if you'd met before this person, as one example, had this terrible relationship that left them lacking in confidence to the point of not even being able to initiate plans and things like that, then things might be different. But the current energy that they're in, yes, they're doing a lot of work on themselves, but maybe they still have a long way to go. And it seems like even if you've been through some of the things they have, you're maybe a little further along than them, or you're a little more ready for something solid. So you're saying like, I need a friendship or I need a relationship where we make semi regular plans and we stick to them. I need someone in my life who communicates with me consistently. I'm willing to meet someone part way, but I'm not willing to just have these online conversations where we are never meeting up. We're just always talking about doing something, then never actually doing it. I can't do that forever. It's not fair. Some of you, you know that there's something here or that this person does have feelings for you because they've proved it with their actions in the past. It's just that their actions are inconsistent and you're needing more than that. Some of you, it's like you could be needing more of that reassurance because it feels like this person's excuses are vague or they don't make a great deal of sense to you. And you're kind of like, well, if I truly like someone, I wouldn't let XYZ get in the way. So maybe they don't really like me because they can't seem to give what I'm willing to give. Maybe some of you do have concerns, like what are they hiding? What if it's something really bad and I'm just deluding myself into thinking there's potential here? Some of you could have a misconception about this person, like you think when they go silent, it's because they're dealing with other people. But again, I'm really not sensing that that's the case. I just think a lot of you go back and forth because sometimes there's this energy of like, oh, I can tell they really like me. And then other times they're just silent or it seems like they couldn't care less. And you're like, what the heck? Like something else must be going on here. And I think it is. But I think a lot of it, it's like, it isn't necessarily anything sinister or this person trying to play games. I think it has a lot more to do with this person's current capacity for what they can give due to their own mental health issues or their own personal struggles. And that's not to say you just have to accept whatever they throw at you. Like, if you do think you need to put this on pause for whatever reason, I understand, because if you're not getting what you need from this person for this connection to be sustainable, that is so valid. But I don't want you to doubt your intuition. Like, if you know deep down that this connection is real, then don't convince yourself to think this person just isn't that into me, because I think it has very little to do with that, is what I'm trying to say here. Okay, so let's have a look at why they ghosted pile 4. I'm curious to see what we're going to get here and what's going on for this person. So we have got the 7 of Cups. We have got the 10 of Pentacles. We've got the 5 of Pentacles reversed. And we have got the Queen of Cups reversed. The more I'm looking at this person's energy, the more I'm feeling like for a lot of them, this has to do with a relationship in their life ending and them feeling like whatever they are feeling for you, that is real. But I just keep hearing it's not the right time. Some of them are saying like, I just wish I'd met you sooner, or I wish things didn't have to be this way. Now, like I said earlier, this doesn't have to be a romantic relationship in their life. For a lot of them though, it will be. And with this 10 of Pentacles being associated with family, it could be a relationship ending with the mother or father of their child, or this person was a part of their family, as in someone like they were married to, even if they didn't have children or whatever, like they could have shared pets with this person or something like that. I know not all serious relationships result in marriage because not everyone wants that. So if it's not that, maybe this is someone they lived with for a very long time and it's to do with things surrounding money and a house. Like there's a lot they need to sort out in terms of separating from this person. Or if it's not a romantic partner, this could be to do with a family member they grew up with, kind of doing a number on them. It could be a maternal figure with this Queen of Cups reversed. It could have something to do with their values or traditions, like how they were brought up, having this impact on them. Now, this could be something like if this person is a man, they don't have to be, but this is just one example. They could have had a mother figure who told them growing up that they weren't allowed to express any of their emotions. It would make them weak. So now they have these mental health issues, but they feel like they can't open up about them. And maybe that's something they're only just really starting to discover, that what they were taught was incorrect, and actually they've been repressing things for a long time, and maybe they need some kind of therapy. Like we said earlier, it could be that they are doing this, like they are working on this, or it could be like if this was a romantic partner from their past, it could be that your person was being treated badly by this romantic partner for a very, very long time, to the point where it slowly eroded their self-esteem and they became a person they no longer knew. But this was so slow or gradual that they thought it was just normal, and they kind of had like, I don't want to say Stockholm syndrome, but like they just accepted it for longer than what they should have done. And maybe now they're out of that relationship, they're just coming to terms with the fact that the way this other person behaved wasn't normal. But due to that situation going on as long as it did, they're having doubts about whether they can trust themselves when it comes to making good romantic choices. This person kind of really reshaped their reality, and I think they're only just coming to terms with the idea that that reality was skewed, like the illusion is broken or something like that. They're also having doubts about whether they're a good partner due to how this person made them feel, like that loss of identity. It's as though they're not really sure who they are anymore, and they're taking some time to rediscover that. Because this Five of Pentacles talks about letting go of relationships, so it definitely does feel like something they're releasing, but perhaps that does require a lot of work, particularly if this individual they were dealing with, if they still have to communicate with that person because that person is family or because they share a child together. That probably makes it harder and more overwhelming for your person to set boundaries, and maybe dealing with other life things has kind of fallen by the wayside because they're putting all their focus into like keeping their guard up with this person or trying not to get too overwhelmed by whatever responsibilities they have. So when we said you might be worried they're talking to an ex, if they are, I don't think it's in any kind of romantic way. I don't think they're putting energy into an ex because they want to get back on good terms with them or anything like that. I think it's more like they're using all their energy to sort of protect themselves and deal with the issues they need to deal with involving this person without getting swept up in this person's drama. And that might take a lot out of them to the point where they do drop off and kind of go silent. This person, it's like we said, they're doing a lot of self-improvement work right now, and it is taking up a lot of their time and energy. They're figuring out how they can improve the relationships in their life, and some of this is like working on their confidence and working on how to say no to people. Some of them have had their self-esteem so chipped away at by this other person that it's felt like they've been in fight or flight mode for years. They're used to stepping on eggshells or having to be really careful about what they say. Maybe this was a person who always made them feel like they said the wrong thing. This person could have warped your person's reality in many ways. They could be very manipulative, and they could have constantly tried to make your person insecure because they were insecure. This could have been the type of person who was unfaithful or disloyal to your person, then made them believe it was their fault, and it made your person so downtrodden that they believed it was their fault for a while. I'm sorry that I keep calling this your person. If you're not feeling that way, I'm just trying to differentiate between them and the other person that we're talking about here, this Queen of Cups reversed energy. But it feels like a lot of this time that they're taking away to focus on themselves, it really feels like they're finding time to forgive themselves, because they know that whatever happened with this other person, that's not the truth now. But they go back and forth because they're like, how did I let this person make me believe that? Why didn't I trust my own intuition and leave that situation sooner? So now, although they feel something strong with you, and we will talk about that because they do think about it a lot, a part of them is kind of like, can I trust myself to make a decision about love? Because I thought that this other person was the love of my life at first, and then they ended up treating me terribly. So what if I'm just not a good judge of character? They're like, what if I'm not ready and I make the same mistakes as last time? Or what if I fall too hard and I put all my trust into a person and then I end up getting hurt again? They know that whatever they went through before, they can't go through that a second time because it would destroy them. And I think intuitively they can sense that you're not like that and you wouldn't do the things that this person did. But again, it's like they're not fully connected to their intuition because they're still dealing with certain trauma responses, like that fight, flight, or freeze mode. And in terms of the reasons they ghost, this is what I wanted to go on to. That could be one of the reasons. It's like they're scared of disappointing people, so they take flight, they avoid their messages, they can't deal with it. And I just want to reiterate that that is not your problem, pal 4. And I'm not the best replier. It often takes me ages to get to my messages generally. But if it's a message that requires a response in a certain amount of time, I always try my best to give a response as quickly as possible. Like if I'm meant to be meeting up with somebody and they message on the day saying, hey, are we still meeting at 12? And it's like 10 a.m. I'll reply as soon as possible to confirm because I know they're going to need time to get ready and I don't want to waste their time if I can no longer do the plan. And personally, I get very anxious when I send that kind of message and I'm just like tapping my feet, waiting for a reply to come. And I don't know whether it's happening or not. So I'm like, oh, should I just start getting ready? Should I not? Like, what's going on? You go into like waiting mode. So when someone leaves you hanging or just doesn't reply and you're waiting for a response, I understand that that feels very inconsiderate of your time and energy. And I can see that if this were to happen multiple times, you will be like, this person clearly doesn't respect me as a human to keep doing this to me. They don't value my time and that isn't fair. And I completely agree with that perspective, and I'm not invalidating that. If someone's actions are not making you feel valued, then you don't have to put up with that kind of behaviour. So I'm not telling you this so you'll give this person a pass or anything like that. I'm just explaining on their side, in the moment that they're doing these things, they are not thinking logically. They are not doing this with the intention of wasting your time. Now, does intention matter? Yes, I think it matters in terms of putting it into context, but I do think it's more about impact. And again, if this person's behavior is impacting you frequently in a negative way, you are not responsible for keeping that connection alive in the hopes that one day they'll stop doing this to you. You are responsible for setting a boundary. And if this person is repeatedly ignoring those boundaries, it is always up to you what you do with that information. I am just trying to clarify what's going on in this person's head when they go. So I don't want you to feel like I'm in any way trying to make you feel like bad or, give this person a free pass to act how they want. Just wanted to clarify that. But from their perspective, like I would tell you if I thought this person was deliberately being an asshole, like I would 100% tell you. I just don't think that this is that. So from their perspective, they make the plans on a day when they are feeling good about themselves because they've been doing the work. So they do have those days where they're feeling confident and they're feeling ready to have a more solid connection. And genuinely in their head, they're like, I'm going to do it this time. We're going to hang out or we're going to go on a date. It's going to be amazing. But then what happens closer to the time is that this person gets in their head. Maybe things this past partner or family member told them about this person saying the wrong things or being unattractive or even being unlovable, if they were ever told that. Those things start to pop into their mind. Those familiar insecurities pop up and then they're like, what if I do meet up with pal 4 and it doesn't go perfect? What if I mess up? What if I meet them and they're not into me? Then that might solidify that I am unattractive or I am unlovable and that will set me back. Then they start to go into this panic mode, like fight, flight, or freeze, and they're kind of psyching themselves up. So then when you message like, hey, are we still doing XYZ? They feel that pressure in their body because it's a reminder of like, oh my God, this is happening today. And they make it into this big thing of like everything rests on whether this date or this hangout goes well. But instead of being open about what they're feeling, because if they did, you would probably be understanding to a certain point. And maybe you'd say to them, like, look, it's not that big of a deal. It's just two people hanging out. It's just one date. We don't have to make it into this huge thing. Instead of having that conversation, they just go silent because they're so scared of disappointing you in that moment. And I know, by the way, that that seems completely illogical because most likely you're going to be more angry and more disappointed at someone ignoring you and wasting your time than you are somebody giving a reasonable explanation or some insight into how they're feeling. Because when they just fall off the radar, you're kind of like, well, clearly they just don't give a shit. But on their end, whoever they dealt with in the past, it's like they were made to feel as though they couldn't voice how they were feeling or they couldn't raise concerns. If they expressed discomfort with anything, they could have had a person in their life who just flew off the handle or went into a fit of rage or tried to manipulate them emotionally. And it's not that they think that you're like that, but they've been so conditioned into believing that them expressing their authentic selves will lead to disaster that now they just avoid it entirely. So they're not even thinking about the long term when they ghost because they're so stuck in survival mode and in that trauma response. And again, I know I keep saying it, but I do want to clarify, this isn't to make you feel bad for them or to give them an easy way out, because ultimately, if they're not stepping up the way you need them to, that is the thing you need to focus on here. But I think this is why we keep getting the message about timing here, or it not being the right time. Because if this person could just step into the confident version of themselves they were in the past, or that they know they are deep down, things would be so, so different. And I think they know this. But what it comes down to is maybe they just aren't quite at that stage yet, because this healing they are doing isn't an overnight thing. They can't suddenly wake up one day and show up for you the way you need them to. But at the same time, it's not fair for you to put your life on hold waiting for them. And that is a shame, because under a different set of circumstances, you guys might be perfect for each other, but you can't wait around for somebody to live up to their potential, is the thing. And I think a part of this is, this person knows that, but they don't want to let you go. They don't want you out of their life entirely. So they could go back and forth on whether to talk with you or whether it's selfish to pop up knowing that they can't give you everything you need. I think it's very confusing for them, because they have days where they feel like their old self again, or this more confident self, and they're like, yeah, me and Pal 4 could do this, but they're not quite at that stage where this is consistent enough yet for them to be like fully ready, because they do think about you a lot. With this Seven of Cups, they daydream about having something solid with you. If this is romantic, even with this Ten of Pentacles, I think they see you as somebody they would want to settle down with. So there's a lot of wishful thinking, because I think they spend a lot of their time considering the possibilities of you and them. They're saying to themselves, like, me and Pal 4 could do this, or I could take them here. And they truly want that, but there's this part of them where they want this to happen under the right set of circumstances. They want things to be perfect before you guys meet up. It's something like going back to that thing where they just keep saying when the time is right. It's almost like the fantasies they're having, you are you, but they are this different version of themselves, and that version still feels quite far away for them. So maybe when they make these plans and they're like, oh, should we do XYZ next month? As it gets closer, they panic, because they're like, I thought I was going to be in this place by this point, but I still don't quite feel ready. I still don't feel like I've fully healed. And the thing is, it's like we always say, none of us are like fully healed. It's always a journey. But I think this person's emotional state is too inconsistent at the moment for them to fully commit to like, I am absolutely ready, because there's so much going on with their insecurities, with them feeling out of touch with their intuition, with them going back and forth. They're still processing a lot, and so they're saying it's not the right time. But I think they worry that you'll move on or you'll find someone else, so they still like to keep you around. They like to check in with you, and it's because they want to be ready for you, but they also know a part of it is selfish. They're thinking like, no, don't go, I'll be ready soon, I promise I'll be ready soon, I just need a little bit longer. But they know that that's unfair to you. They don't expect you to put your life on hold, but they just don't want you to like not be part of their life. There's a lot of mixed emotions, but they absolutely do care more than they let on. They do have strong feelings for you. It does just feel like a case of right person, wrong time on their end. So let's have a look at their next actions. Are they coming back to life, specifically your life? So let's have a look what we get, Pal 4. We have got the Four of Swords reversed. We have got the Knight of Swords. We have got the Devil reversed. And we've got Temperance. Okay, Pal 4, this is actually very, very promising. And what I want to say is I am actually very proud of this person, because they have really been committing to their growth. And it seems like they've been talking themselves down from a lot of emotionally heightened situations and kind of getting over a lot of this anxiety. What I want to say is, yes, I think they will be returning to your life, but from what I can see here, there is a definite difference to their energy here. And we know energies can always change, but with this Knight of Swords, I'm sensing that this person is saying to themselves, it's now or never, like, I need to seize this opportunity. And I think it's because they can sense that you've been pushed to your limits with this and you've been ready to call it a day. And this person is acknowledging that they haven't been very fair to you. As much as they've been struggling themselves, they know that you've been struggling too, and they know that they haven't been giving to you. So they're going to be a lot more direct and honest with this Knight of Swords. I think they're going to be telling you what's been going on. Because before, maybe this person felt like they didn't want to trauma dump on you, or maybe they felt like if they expressed themselves, they would be punished the way they have been in the past. But here, this seems to be them saying to themselves, Pal 4 is not this person from my past, and I'm going to have to be brave, and I'm going to be courageous. I'm going to tell them what's on my mind and what's been going on for me, because if I let this friendship or this relationship fall apart, I know I'm going to regret it. And maybe it's also them saying, like, I don't have to be perfect. With this Temperance card, this is about balance. It's about moderation. Maybe before they were getting carried away with themselves and saying like, well, what if me and Pal 4 go on a date and it's not perfect and they don't like me and they never speak to me again? But now they've had a shift in perspective where they're saying to themselves like, I need to not get ahead of myself because we haven't even been on the date yet, and not everything has to be 100% perfect. I'm sure Pal 4 will like me for who I am, and worst case scenario, we decide we're not into each other, but we could still connect as soulmates on a platonic level. I think they made the idea of meeting you this massive thing in their mind. They sort of put all their eggs in one basket and said, if Pal 4 doesn't like the reality of me, that means I'm a failure, or it means this person was right when they told me I'm unattractive, or whatever the case may be. But because they've done a lot of this healing, they're not letting their entire sense of self worth depend on whether or not this date goes well. And that indicates to me that they're becoming a lot more ready for it than what they were before, because they're telling themselves, like, calm down, it's not that deep. If somebody decides they're not into me romantically, that doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It is what it is. They're moderating their thoughts a lot more. And when things are feeling intense, it feels like they're stepping in and telling their own selves, hey, let's talk through this. It doesn't have to be so chaotic. It doesn't have to be so all or nothing. Because they've been releasing things with this devil in reverse. They're freeing themselves of this mental or social conditioning that has led to them having some of these beliefs. Maybe they're detaching from ideas they formed in this previous relationship and they're not feeling bound to that past situation. They're reclaiming their power, and I think it's going to show. It seems like with this Four of Swords reversed, they have gone inwards, they've had their time to recoup, and now they're ready to rejoin the world. They're finding the mental strength to come out of this thing that's been holding them back, and they're slowly recovering, they're slowly healing. They're going to be wanting to be more social and communicate with you, and it seems like they're showing you this energy of being the one to take charge. If it seemed like they lacked tenacity before, they're going to be going for things and overcoming their own challenges. They're going to be much less hesitant, and it feels like their confidence is going to be coming on leaps and bounds. Like they're saying to themselves, I knew I could do it, or I knew I still had it in me, or something like that. And I love that for them. And a lot of it, though, I think it is to do with you. Like, I think it's to do with your patience and understanding and empathy, because as time goes on and they get to know you more or talk to you more, you make them feel more comfortable. So maybe it's like you guys do one hangout and it's very chill, it's low key, you make it a lot of fun, and you just make this person feel so comfortable that they feel like they can take more action and initiative because they built it up in their head like it had to be this perfect thing. And maybe they're realizing, like, no first date is perfect, as one example. There might be awkward moments or pauses, but you make it feel so natural that this person is like, maybe I made this into a bigger deal than it had to be, or something like that. It's like they're saying it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I don't mean it like they thought it was going to be bad, but I think they thought they were going to mess up or fumble their words or do something embarrassing. And now it's like, even if they do, it seems like you guys can laugh about it and you don't make them feel bad for any mistakes that they make. You're very accepting and the vibes with you are very peaceful. I definitely think they don't want to miss this opportunity because they are viewing you as this potential soulmate. And so they're kind of like, I've just got to go for this. Like, it's now or never. That is what I keep getting. So that is what I'm getting for the tarot portion of your reading. We are just going to finish off this reading with a little bit of closing advice from the Soul Truth Oracle. Okay, powerful. So we have this card. It says, what else could this mean? And I'm going to read out what's on the back. Feel free to pause the screen if you would like to. But this card says, there are always multiple ways to look at every situation. Our first reaction is usually rooted in our fears and limiting beliefs. Look at a situation today by stepping outside of the trigger and ask, what else could this mean? Today's soul action, is there something your soul is calling you to learn in this moment, or is there a pattern that is ready to be broken? Walk in the other person's shoes and see it from their perspective. If it doesn't involve someone else, ask yourself, how is life happening for me right now? I think this card feels so fitting for your reading, Powerful, because a lot of you, it seems like you have been internalizing this person's behavior as maybe an issue with you, or you've been jumping to certain conclusions on what this person's behavior could mean. And we've talked a lot about, from their perspective, this is what's happening, and it's actually not a great deal to do with you, but more to do with their own insecurities and what's been going on in their life. So I think this is advising, regardless of what transpires between you and this person in the future. I'm not saying you have to connect with them if you feel that's not in your best interest, but I do see potential if that is something you want. I think this is saying, like, this is an opportunity for healing and looking at different perspectives for you too, because maybe some of this ghosting has led to a trigger resurfacing within you. Because if you found yourself getting frustrated with this person based on a preconceived idea of why they are doing what they are doing, for example, if you jump to, well, they must be talking to their ex, maybe this is saying, which wounds within you are you maybe needing to address? Like, what has made you distrustful of this person without necessarily having any evidence to assume that that's what they're doing or that the intentions are sinister here? And do not get me wrong, intuition is a thing. You might not be a woman, but if you are, women's intuition is definitely a thing. So always trust yourself first and foremost before anyone else. But for some of you, not all of you, it could be that yes, your intuition is correct in that something feels off, but no, it's not the worst case scenario, or it might not be exactly what you think. So what else could this mean from another person's perspective? And I understand, like, you don't know what another person's perspective really is unless they tell you. And if this person is staying silent, it's not your responsibility to work that out. It does seem like they are going to be becoming more open, and hopefully that's going to provide more clarity. But I think what this is saying is like, this situation, whatever the outcome of this connection, if you guys end up together or if you decide to call it quits, this situation is an opportunity for you as individuals to discover or rediscover a lot about yourself and your past wounding or possible trauma responses. I think for some of you, this is just saying, like, not everyone is out to get us, or it's not always the worst case scenario all of the time. Some of you could have dealt with your own anxieties of being in like fight, flight, or freeze mode. And if you're thinking if someone doesn't text you back for one day, then it means they've decided they don't like you or they've fallen out with you and not told you, whatever the case may be. But I think this is saying, like, for you and for this person, where does this belief come from? And can we learn something from this? Whether it's learning to communicate better with them or it's relearning to discover more about the things that you need to feel safe in a relationship or friendship, I definitely think that this is a time for deeper insight, and it's also an opportunity for you to go inwards. That is what I'm getting for the tarot portion of your reading, pal. For I really, really hope you enjoyed this reading today. If you did enjoy the reading, please do me a massive favour. Please like the video. Please leave me a little comment and let me know what resonated, or just let me know which pal you picked if you don't feel comfortable telling me what resonated. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. That is the easiest and best way to support me. I am slowly trying to make my way to 1,000 subscribers, so please help me on that journey. Please give it your support if you can. I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one, pal.